World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to World Pro Racing for tonight's casual races here at Road America. What a great night we've got in store for you. It's Dave Christie on the comms again, making a very welcome return. It's great to be back. Alongside is another welcome face, Simon Zammit. And tonight, Simon, we've got a very special guest, Adrian Bigelow, joining us to give a little bit of insight in just a second. But Simon, how are you since the last time we spoke?
I'm doing great, yeah. Looking forward to the race today. 4 minute recalls around Road America. Should be exciting.
Excellent, excellent stuff. Well, I know obviously we've got Adrian there, and Adrian is part of the invigilation team that is part of the team here at World Pro Racing. What exactly is Adrian's role here? I know you've got a ton of questions you're going to ask him, so I think it's we've got a little bit of time that we can have a chat. So why don't we ask Adrian some questions, Simon?
Depends, you know. Some accidents are actually very plain and simple to decide upon, but obviously some others you need to go a little bit further back to see if there was any movement under braking or the driving lines, if they were compromised from before. There are a lot of things that we actually look at. Obviously enough, we look at them from different angles because that helps us to understand which car and which driver did the move, you know what I mean, what created the incident. Obviously enough, you go for a penalty for either one, the other, more or nobody, because race incidents do happen also.
Okay. So, obviously here at World Pro Racing we're dealing with esports rather than physical races. How different are the decisions you have to make in situations like this?
The decisions actually are not different, you know what I mean. Incident, we're talking about simulation here. So actually we're simulating cars, there are car simulations, so obviously enough the incidents will be let's say equal like real life racing. So the decisions don't need to be any different. We cannot have them different for one simple reason. One thing that we believe is obviously in sim racing is the stepping stone towards real motorsport, and that's something World Pro Racing believes strongly in and works towards that, to getting obviously people out there in the real motorsport world. So people need to be brought up in the right way. Drivers need to understand, be educated, because sometimes obviously enough they come to ask why, how, you know what I mean. We educate them that way, and obviously enough that gives them the opportunity when they step in real life motorsport to understand what they're gonna obviously face.
Of course, of course. So I've been told we had a mild sound issue. So would you mind repeating what goes on behind the scenes of an esports race and how the education works?
Yeah. The first part or the last part?
Go for all of it, because I'm not sure when the sound issue happened. So just ask
So
the question
actually
again.
in the background, yeah, I'll say we're there starting from the briefing, happening 15 minutes before official practice, moving on to actually then watching the races themselves in our room there together with George, and obviously enough we do the right reviews, we have enough screens and monitors to monitor and understand also to give the right decision at the end of the day, because we're there to give the right decision and to be fair with drivers. Things are not so much different from real life racing to obviously enough from what we do in real life racing and what we're doing in esports, in sim racing, because actually that is something World Pro Racing believes in, that the stepping stone of real life racing is sim racing nowadays. So drivers need to understand and need to be brought up and need to be educated in sim racing, so that when the opportunity, and if the opportunity comes, and if they feel like, obviously enough, because not everybody feels like moving from esports to from sim racing to the real life racing, but if there is that opportunity, they understand where they're going and what they're going to actually find, you know.
Fair enough. You mentioned that the importance of making the right decision. What happens if maybe a driver contests a decision or doesn't fully agree with it? How do you approach a situation like that?
You know, it's the right of the driver to ask for an appeal, or actually right of review in the real life racing. Obviously enough, when that is done from the side of the driver, we need to look at if this is something actually that is admissible. Because sometimes it cannot be. The situation is so clear that obviously enough that appeal is not admissible. But yes, it's the right of any driver to contest any decision, obviously enough within the parameters, like I'm telling you, if it's a tight decision. And sometimes decisions change, because obviously enough there might be more proof, or something happened before, just before that incident, but we caught the incident a few seconds after. You know what I mean? So there was another consequence which we didn't see, and obviously they bring it up. It happens in real life motorsport.
Yeah,
you know, when drivers are called in front of the stewards, some teams, let's put it on a bigger scale, they come obviously with more evidence, some onboard cameras. Actually, sometimes we ask for that footage.
Okay.
Because it helps to take the right decision. At the end of the day, we're there to take the right decision, right? For the benefit of the sport, and obviously be fair with the drivers on track.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very glad you were able to be here with us right now.
Thank you.
So, David, what do you make of everything Adrian just said?
Absolutely fascinating insight. Thank you very much, Adrian Figolo, there from the stewarding team, the FIA accredited stewarding team over at World Pro Racing. Fascinating insight. Obviously, from the commentary point of view, we see many decisions taken by race control, and quite honestly, Simon, they can never win. It's a thankless task one way or the other, and we see complaints one way or the other. I've got a couple of real-life friends that travel the world doing GT3 race direction and similar sort of things. And just as Adrian was saying there is almost no difference to the decision-making process in real-life racing as to the sim racing. And it's fantastic to see World Pro Racing, making leaps and bounds and bringing that level of professionalism into esports and into sim racing. So very grateful for that insight there from Adrian. But Simon, obviously every day is a school day for yourself. Does it surprise you the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes to even casual races like this?
Definitely. I think it's a question of, obviously here at World Pro Racing, every race has to be as professional and as serious as possible. So it makes sense that even these casual races have an FIA accredited steward with us, have multiple replay cameras, so every incident is adjudicated properly. And I think it just lends to the professionalism that the races are meant to promote to all these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, on the subject of that then, let's talk about the race tonight, because it is, of course, the F3s here at Road America. America's Park of Speed that dubs itself outside turn number 5. You can see the cars on track then for free practice just now. Tonight is a casual session, so that means, Simon, allegedly, that we can kick off our shoes, we can sit back and we can enjoy all of the racing tonight. It is not a championship race, but that doesn't mean that the racing isn't going to be fast, frenetic and furious. Practice underway at this 4-mile circuit. Really one of the pinnacles of motorsport over in America. A staple part of the IMSA series. We see IndyCar there quite a lot, and tonight World Pro Racing heads there in these iconic F3 cars. Let's take you through a little bit about the cars themselves first. So if you haven't seen these cars before, if you haven't seen this type of racing before, very unlikely, but just in case, this is called single-seaters. so-called because obviously there's only one seat in the car. The driver's usually right in the centre of these small, real rocket ship type cars, and they usually have quite a big aero package. Now, what do I mean by an aero package? Well, at the front of the car, at the bottom there, you've got your front wing, and at the back, at the top, you've got your rear wing. Those two things work together to push the air as it comes flying over the car when it goes fast, to push it down onto the ground to help it turn round and to help keep it stable when you're trying to go fast. This particular car is the Tatus F3020, released last year for free in R Factor 2. It's gone down an absolute storm. Great car to drive, very, very easy to get used to, but very, very difficult to master. And of course, they're out here tonight at Road America. All 14 turns of it, a wild, challenging, undulating circuit. And Simon, I think these drivers are going to have an absolute blast tonight.
Definitely, it's one of those tracks that's just so much fun to race around, even if you're on your own, let alone when you're side by side with another car trying to find a place to overtake or how to defend that position. It's going to be a very, very fun track for the drivers, I think.
Yeah, certainly is. And just watching the cars coming through here. So this is Andrew Quarterly, currently fastest man on track at the moment with a 2:01.3. And the spread is something that I've been quite fascinated by as well. We'll come back to that in just a second because the car making its way down, I believe this is down towards turn 3 then. It is. So on the exit of turn 3, it's a long sweeping right-hander. This is turn 4 here. Blinking, you'll miss it. This is the Moraine sweep all the way through this straight, and then it's down the hill on the brakes into the left-hander at turn 5. It's a real tricky corner to get this one because too hard on the brakes and the car will lock up. Too late on the brakes and you'll go sailing off into that runoff outside on the right-hand side there. This is turn 6, again on the brakes very, very early, and then it's out straight on the throttle, no braking for turn 7. It's flat out as much as you can. Again, very similar to turn 5. This is turn 8. Have to be early on the brakes, get the car pitched in nice and early. And the carousel, this is a test of fortitude. Do you want to stay flat out? 9 times out of 10 in single seaters you'll be absolutely flat, and the GT cars maybe not so much. After that then it's the right-hander at the kink, and then down through into the kettle bottoms as well. That's where we see Mikael Mercier on just now. This is on the right-hander here, and then it is going to be on the run further down into to Canada corner. One of the most difficult corners, I think, here, and then it's into to turn number 14, and that final corner that takes you up that famous uphill incline here at Road America to go across the start-finish line. Simon, it's a track that I'm very familiar with, but what's your thoughts on Road America?
I really like it. It's one of those, I think it was probably the first non-European track I saw when I first got my first racing game, going back maybe to 2009, 2010. It was the first track I raced on, so I always have that nostalgia linked to it. Although, I must admit, I am terrible with names, so I constantly mix up with Road Atlanta, even though I know they're completely separate tracks. But alas. But yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because I was away to do that earlier on, and then I purposely slowed down mid-saying Road, because I was actually racing at Road Atlanta a couple of weeks ago in the iRacing Petit Le Mans. I think it was Road Atlanta. But yeah, very, very easy to do, but very difficult to mistake the track layouts.
Definitely.
Obviously, we went on boards. What do you think of the mix of fast and slow corners?
I think it's going to be a perfect test of the driver's skill and ability to adapt their driving style for essentially corner by corner. Like you say, we have corners like the carousel where just really long and really difficult to keep a very fast line throughout the entire corner. Meanwhile, the first and third corners are a bit more straightforward. They're more or less 90 degrees, give or take a few. And, it's you brake, you turn, and you make sure you have a good exit and can defend your corner. They're very, very difficult corners, but there are a large spread of them, so it should be interesting to see where the drivers struggle and where some drivers are faster and others are slower.
Yeah, for sure. Incline and elevation are huge parts of this track as well, especially on the run down to turn 5. Don't be surprised to see some incidents happening down there. Very easy to lock up the brakes, but it's also very easy to get overly brave down into that corner number 5 there. You'll maybe see Cars Track take the inside line, but as it stands in free practice, though, still Andrew Quarterly. Another interesting little dynamic you'll see there in 8th and 10th place there. Now 8th and 9th place, that is Vance Lagarde and Casey Lagarde, and interestingly enough, that is father and son. Vance is the dad of Casey from Australia, and the two of them out enjoying a race together. I've got to be honest, I'm very, very jealous of that. That's such a wonderful little story there, to go out racing with your dad on a Thursday night or a Wednesday night.
Definitely. You know, talking from my own experience, I've really first got into motorsport through my dad. Here in Malta we have hill climb events that require marshals, and my dad was always a marshal, so I'd be trackside watching these kind of ridiculously crazy cars for bumpy Maltese roads race up a hill, and it was just so much fun. I think I've probably gone to them since I was maybe 7-8 years old, so it's such an incredible experience to see these father and son racing together. Hopefully they manage to be next to each other on track so we can have a nice little battle.
Well, let's see if anybody gets sent home without any supper after this one tonight. Of course, they race in real life as well, as Casey Lagarde showing exactly what can happen into turn 8 if you go very, very wide indeed. Again, this is down through the carousel. That's fast sweeping right-hander here. It's all about getting momentum and getting the power down on these F3 machines. This one here at the kink, that is a scary, scary corner, because you're taking it flat out at about 240 kilometres an hour. That's about, 180 miles an hour in yield money. Then it's down into the right-hander here, Canada corner. Again, very easy to go late on the brakes there, Simon. And then, thankfully, the rest of it is easy enough until you get to turn 14. And you're like, where is my braking point? Well, you just hit it at that sign on the left, turn the car in, and that's the run up the start-finish straight. But, I mean, obviously, with it being 3 races that we've got tonight, plenty of opportunity for drivers to make amends for anything that happens in a particular race. And with it being a casual race as well, 11 is just a nice number for taking part, because there's a good spread of about 2-3 seconds across this field, and there's always at least 3 drivers within half a second of each other.
Definitely. And you know, the interesting dynamic with having 3 races is that the grid is going to be different for each one. So there's going to be a qualifying session as soon as this practice session ends, and then and that will set the grid for the first race. But then it's the results from this first and second race that decide the grid for the following one. So a driver who wins the first race could, in theory, have a very good chance of doing well in the second one. But if, for example, the driver in third can sneak a win, he's going to set himself up for the final race. And it's going to be a really interesting dynamic.
It certainly is. So free practice on the go at the moment. Then, just to give you an update on what you can expect, there's going to be a 15-minute qualifying session, and then after that is going to be 3 10-lap races. So given they're lapping about 2 minutes just now, you can expect all of them to be around about 20 minutes long. In between them, they get a little 5-minute warm-up, and we get 5 minutes to catch our breath in between each race as well. But as we said, I mean, a busy schedule coming up here at World Pro Racing, Simon. And how are you enjoying things over there in Malta just now?
I'm very much looking forward to this. I love the track. I love F3 cars. There's something about them that just really endearing. I don't know. Maybe it's because they look like F1 cars, but just scaled down slightly. There's just something so endearing about them. So I'm just really buzzing.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night for sure. Just to remind you what you've got coming up in the next couple of months then here at World Pro Racing. Next week, I believe it is, Tuesday the 19th of October, you have got the Duo Series makes its return. They are heading off to Suzuka, and then that way it is a 90-minute race with 2 drivers, and they are taking on Suzuka. That is going to be an absolutely cracking race in the GT3s. Then it is HyperX Open Series races 8 and 9. in November and December. Donington and Kyalami. That is a fantastic, fantastic series. We obviously have very fond memories of the last rounds, but yeah, really looking forward to that. Friday, the 12th of November, the HyperX Open Series is going to be returning. A couple of other things in the pipeline that I can't quite mention yet. Top secret, if you know what I mean. A brand new championship and a very special event as well, both on rFactor 2, launching very, very soon. So make sure you check out worldproracing.com and also head over to the Discord to get involved in the community as well. We have 10 minutes left to go in practice here, and I'm just seeing nobody at the moment really giving Andrew Quartley much of an issue to think about right now. Half a second seems to be the cut-off point with Mikael Mercia and Alex Trehorn right now, Simon. But in all intents and purposes, practice is really not all that important, is it? It's there to give the drivers, maybe who haven't had experience of Road America, a little bit of confidence and a little bit of experience on the track.
Definitely, you know, I think practice is really more for the drivers, as you were saying. It's about them getting their eye in, getting used to the track conditions and the cars if they haven't maybe driven for a couple of hours, just because they had, I don't know, to eat lunch or something, depending on time zones. But for us, what we can gain from it is seeing who might be getting a grip with the car faster than the others. So currently it's Andrew Quartley who's maybe just had the right conditions and the right control of his car to put into P1, but there's absolutely no guarantee it's going to last through the rest of the session, and then through qualifying, and then through the 3 races we have. So I think qualifying, I think practice is more for the drivers, and then qualifying is where we, as commentators and the audience, get to see who's really managed to hook everything up perfectly.
Well, that is absolutely spot on. But yeah, the car just making its way round just now is that of your current lead driver right now, although Andrew Quartley currently on a purple middle sector right now, so he could be trying to make some improvements there. But the car being raced tonight is, of course, as I said, the Tatus, the F3020. Now, this was a real-life car developed for the British F3 series, so it does have, you know, some semblance, and it was raced to much success over here in the UK. Very, very fast, nimble car. And when you think, Simon, that car has got, what, about 230 brake horsepower on a car that weighs about the same as a ream of copier paper. It's just incredible power to weight, and also those really thin tyres. The car tends to dance about, and when we look at some of the onboard footage from the car, you'll see that it's very alive in how it handles, and it dances about all over the road.
They're very fun to watch, aren't they? You know, maybe again it's just me. I love seeing drivers almost struggle with their cars. This may sound strange, but I like seeing them having to fight it through corners and having to always counter steer to make sure it's not sliding too much. I think it gives the drivers an extra challenge and keeps them on their toes, and for us it's just an amazing spectacle. Yeah,
certainly is. Alex Trehorn does an improved lap there, 201.819, still 0.4 of a second off of Andrew Quartley right now, who actually improved on that last lap, 201.3. So yeah, he's ratcheting up the pace right now. But 7 minutes left to go into to practice, and just having a very quick look through YouTube. Good evening to you and to Sheldon Muscat. Great to see you watching along, my man. Sheldon, obviously, one of the drivers we see time and time again on one of the other championships. I'm very fortunate to commentate on over at the Sim Grids, and yeah, always great to catch up with Sheldon. An incredible talent, and one that I believe we see quite a lot here at the World Pro Racing ranks as well.
Yes, he was recently taking part in our Malta National GT3 Championship. Did pretty well in a fair number of the rounds, actually, so always good to see him around. Very sweet guy. I've had the opportunity to meet him in person and talk to him. He's just, yeah, absolutely stand-up, incredible guy.
I'm always very cautious if I ever do get the chance to meet Sheldon, because I jokingly refer to him as the unluckiest sim racer that there is. I don't know what he's done, whether he's been walking under ladders or kicking black cats or breaking mirrors left, right and centre, but every time I see him, like somebody else is causing him grief, somebody else is causing him woe. And I dream of the day that we get to see Sheldon Muscat in a GT3 car, and like, I don't know, we need to get him in a Zorb or something like that, you know, like one of those giant inflatable balls. Just get him in one of them. But yeah, an incredibly fast driver, and yeah, always good to hear from him. So thanks very much for tuning in tonight. This is Francesco Valle Gonzalez for Douglas Motorsport, currently making his way around just 0.8 of a second. The great thing for me is that if I was taking part tonight, I think I would be roughly where Vance and Casey Lagarde are just now, down there in 9th and 10th position. But the wonderful thing about these casual events is that, you know, drivers like yourself and myself, Simon, can take part in it. We can have fun. And yes, we know we might not be as fast as Andrew Quartley, but we've always got folk that are around us that we can take part in. And that just makes the event so much more fun.
Definitely. You know, obviously I'm not a massively competitive driver, but what I like about racing...
Simon, I believe we will get there.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Like, obviously keeping on practicing. But what I mean is, even though I'm not a massive competitive driver, I much prefer having a race... I much prefer having a good battle and a good race with someone over 12th place than drive a lonely race for first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. It makes the time pass quicker, and it's so boring. And I also find myself in danger if I'm on my own in the track, because I work best when I am chasing a car down. Now, that car could be a lap in front of me, but if you give me the taillights of another car, then I am absolutely going to throw everything that I can to try and get past that car. But when you're on your own in a bit of track and there's no one around you, suddenly it becomes a little bit more difficult, especially if it's a track that you're not 100% comfortable with, because then you're kind of hot lapping your time trial all by yourself, and the tracks change all the time, the cars change all the time. It's this constantly evolving process, and a lot of folk watching might think, oh well, it's just, you know, cars going around the track. Well, what they've got to realise is that, you know, as the laps go on, your car handles in a different way. So you'll be braking a little bit later, you'll be accelerating a little bit later, you'll be turning the car a little bit smoother as the laps go on and as your tyres wear out. So yeah, it's always fascinating to see, but having someone along with you makes that journey a little bit easier.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but my personal favorite is when there's a car right behind me and you have to like take different lines and have to defend from them, because even if you know for a fact they're faster than you, and you know for a fact that in 4 laps, like you're saying, the tires are going to degrade to the point where you just can't keep them behind. It's how long can I keep them behind, you know? How long can I take this defensive line before they catch on to what I'm doing and I have to try something else? It's a lot of fun.
I don't know what to say about that. I've got to be honest, purely because A, I never have anybody behind me, and B, I crumble like a poorly baked cheesecake under pressure. I just crumble at the first sign of any pressure whatsoever. So I really prefer chasing rather than having pressure applied. But yeah, it's two sides of the same story there, and maybe we've got to make a little endurance team. You know, you could be good at the attack and stuff, and I'll just sort of poodle around and put some solid lap times in there. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we're both essentially saying the same thing, that it's much more preferable to have cars around you than racing by yourself. So there we go. Lineup then is within a minute and a half to go in free practice. Andrew Quartley currently fastest, 201.373. Alex Trehorn second place. Mikhail Mercedes in third place. Francisco Valle Gonzalez in fourth. We've got Christian Sharp in fifth. Kirsten Abier in sixth place. Anton Valle Gonzalez in seventh place. Trevor Sharp in eighth. Vance Lagarde in ninth. Casey Lagarde in 10th. And Stephen Johnson in 11th place. But again, this is just practice. And yeah, it's a bold strategy there, Simon, just leaving your car in the middle of the track.
Yeah, I believe that's called the Fernando Alonso effect from that one race where he held up Lewis Hamilton in 2008. Wow, that's a strange pull. It's a very specific pull, but anyway. As we come back to it. So Andrew Quartley, currently leading practice, which is... How does that set him up for the qualifying session and then the races, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it gives him the upper hand, doesn't it? Because obviously you've got the bragging rights. You've taken free practice. Everyone else is like, oh, hello. With 2:01.3 as well, being about 0.4 of a second, Simon. That's a significant gap. It's not like it's just 1 or 2 tenths. Now the question is whether he can repeat that, because he's also the driver that's done the most amount of laps in that practice session. He did 25 laps there. The likes of Alex Trehorn behind him and Mikael Mertea in third place, they did 21 and 18 laps respectively. So 6-7 laps. Now, given that qualifying is, I believe, only 15 minutes long, they're only going to get 5 or 6 laps, I think. Maybe probably about 4 or 5 hot laps in with this as well. So if he can get that pace that he got in 26 laps down to 4 or 5 laps, then fair enough. But also the other thing with practice is, like you said, you know, some people might have jumped in, gotten a couple of laps in, went, had some supper or watch some TV or something like that and come back for qualifying. But now you've got 11 cars all out on the same track at the same time. That's going to come with the benefit of some on the back of the straight, obviously with the toe and getting an extra boost. But that's also going to be to the detriment of some of the other ones. So maybe, you know, any of the top 4 that were finding themselves blazing fast, they might not be able to get any free space on the track at all. So swings and roundabouts. We'll find out very, very shortly. But yeah, this is looking quite interesting.
Definitely, and you know, we've seen so many of these drivers have been at the front end of these fields so often. You know, Mikael Mertea won the multinational GT3 championship I was talking about earlier. Alex Trehorn has been consistent in so many series we've run here at World Pro Racing. So I think making any like rash decisions, conclusions now is bold, I think, again, I'll be kind to go with bold. But yeah, so it's going to be fun to see, like you're saying, how they stack up, how traffic and the track dynamics change, and who comes out on top in qualifying. We have 15 minutes when it starts, so not much time at all.
The more important question, though, is who's going to come out on top, Vance Lagarde or Casey Lagarde. That is the
yes.
the domestic question that we have to answer. All of Australia needs to know that one, because I've got to be honest, I think the old guard has shown enough in practice, you know, to be half a second up. Us old days, we still have it, Simon.
Who are you calling old? I'm still in university.
I'm calling myself old. That's what I'm saying, Simon. You're like probably just a little bit under half of the age of me. So this is us reliving that battle through them. So so Vance is obviously older than Casey. But again, it brings it to that point as well. We all do this because we love sim racing. We all take part because we enjoy this relatively inexpensive hobby. Obviously they do real life motorsport as well, but it's such a fantastic privilege for father and son to be able to share that as well and take part in sim racing together.
Definitely, especially when, you know, if you was to talk about racing with like physical cars, it'll be so much harder to do. You know, you have to take into account money and availability and resources. But with esports, everyone can have a computer, everyone can buy a steering wheel or even just a controller, so it's really accessible. And seeing these two people, you know, in my mind they're in the same house, just on different ends of like the sitting room, so they can still talk to each other. And it's so fun to see, especially, you know, a little bit of a rivalry between the two will naturally occur. And yeah, like you say, I think you mentioned earlier, they'll take it to the dinner table, which is, again, in my mind, just hilarious.
Now, I wonder if our FIA stewards will be able to weigh in on one of them running to the other one's computer and ripping out the network cable. That's certainly one of my tactics that I would resort to if it was in my shoes. But qualifying just underway. We'll cut to that very shortly. Yeah, look, the point you brought up about real life racing as well. So I took part, or I'm taking part in my very first real life motorsport season this year, and I can absolutely attest. I haven't been in sim racing since, you know, probably 2004, 2005. The difference is absolutely unparalleled. The community that is around here at Sim Racing, the support, the options that you've got, whether you want to play casual and play on consoles, or if you want to take it dead seriously and put hundreds and hundreds of pounds into all of your equipment on the PC, then there's something really for everyone. And at the end of the day, I'm sure we actually spoke about this the other day, Simon, but the whole argument about real life racing and sim racing, I think, has now evaporated. There is no need for that argument now, because I think the two of them sit alongside each other very nicely indeed. You get obviously some people that will say, oh, sim racing will never replace real life racing, but I always maintain, it's never tried to. Yeah. It's there as an accompaniment, and I think realistically, if you had the money and the ability to go real life racing and sim racing, I think everybody would. So I think there's space for them both. But for sure. Shall we go to qualifying? I think we head over and see what the cars are doing out on track, Simon. So let's give them a lap or so to get up to speed, because the car's just making their way round for the first flying lap. We see Andrew Quartley here. Do you think he's put any pressure on himself now by setting that fastest time in practice?
I guess it depends on how he approached that lap time. If that was a all guns blazing, full power lap, I think he might feel pressure to match it now in qualifying. But if it was just getting his eye in, seeing how fast he can go while maybe giving 95%, I think he's going to find this session a lot easier to match that pace, and to match that pace without overdoing it and messing up a good lap.
We'll see how that one keeps going anyway, but just watching Andrew Quartley just now, obviously it's a bit misleading because he's going to set a purple time because he's like the first car out there, but given that it was a 2:01, it also sets him a nice benchmark, because the track will have evolved since the practice session time goes on a little bit later on from the practice session. Track temperature now up at 29 degrees Celsius, ambient temperature 18 degrees Celsius, and thankfully no sign, Simon, of any rain whatsoever.
Yes, we should mention that these are the live conditions as Road America, like the real Road America currently is, which is, I still sometimes find it hard to wrap my head around that these these sim games can be so accurate. But yeah, so we're going to have live weather, so whatever you see, the track temperature and the weather conditions that you're seeing in the game equal what happened in the 201.1.
Andrew Quartley, what? My goodness me, that's 2/10 faster, Simon, than he did in free practice.
And that's his first lap. That was his first lap. Yeah, screw what I was saying. Jesus, that was incredible. See,
that is again, absolutely outrageous.
A second faster than both Mircea and Trehorn. I believe that's what we call a message. Wow, that, like you said, I completely agree with your reaction there. Just wow, that's such a good lap. And you have to say, they're only going to get faster from here.
Well, that's actually a good point. I think Christian Sharp is potentially going to be able to bring that through as well. In fact, Christian Sharp then retires back to pit lane after deciding to bin it. But yeah, look, Quartley there, 201.1. That is an outstanding lap to get in there. He's already still on 201 pace right now. Did a 44.6 in sector number 1. He's coming through into to sector 2 now. Just 6 100ths of a second off of that first lap time there. And again, we know that 10s can be easily taken up through the rest of the circuit here, but coming through, there you go, 1/10 up already, so he's gone purple. So that is still a faster lap now for Andrew Quartley, coming through turn number 12 just now. That is Canada Corner. It's up through the hill and then down into 14 as well, into this final corner. This is going to be a big lap from Quartley. Could this be a 2-minute flat? I think we're very, very possibly going to have that. Might even be better. It's a great run out the final corner. Comes across the line. It is, oh, not quite, 201.048. So just a hair's width off of that 2-minute flat there for Quartley. But I think the message that you were on about earlier from Quartley there is you might as well go home, guys, because I've got this one in the bag.
I'm afraid I have to disagree with you on that, because while we were watching Quartley, Mikhail Machida set a time that's now only 8 tenths slower, which obviously, 8 tenths is a massive margin, but he was a second slower before Quartley's new lap, so this is a good lap for Machida. He still has a lot of work to do to catch up, but like we're saying, these are these drivers' first lap or two, so I think they will have time to close the gap. I can't imagine the gap at the end of qualifying will stay around 8 seconds. I feel it might drop to maybe 3-4 like we saw in practice? Question mark? I don't know. It's hard to say as we see Mikhail Machida, big slide there. Good car control to catch it.
Yeah, that was a good little bit of anti-lock anti-drift steering going on there from Mikhail Machida. Just have a look as well though. Francesco Valle Gonzalez is going to be one to watch just now. Currently in third place at the moment, 1.2 seconds behind, but he has made 2 tenths of an improvement in that first sector alone. This could be a very, very fast lap for Francesco. We'll see as he comes across the line in just a couple of seconds for sector 2, and then we'll keep an eye on that and see how he does in that sector 3. A little bit wide there into to turn 13, but it's on the brakes there. Yeah, half a second slower in that middle sector there, so that is not going to be happening. And what you've got to remember as well, Simon, is that these cars really don't have all that much more time to put a challenging lap in. So, if anything, Andrew Quartley has done a blinder here in getting that time in nice and early, because we were saying that. I said it's all very well doing 25 laps and doing your fastest lap on lap 24, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to convert it in a 15-minute qualifying session. I think Andrew's been listening and he's decided to prove me wrong on that one.
It does look like it. He heard that and went, oh, I smell a challenge, do I? But yeah, he's been on it, like you're saying, right from lap 1. He set an incredible lap and then didn't take a break, didn't breathe for any seconds, went for a second lap and put it a tenth faster. So he's been on it, and it is really a case of a message to the other drivers of, yeah, and what?
Really, really, really has. As we see Alex Trehorn again just proving how difficult these cars are. Very, very understeery is not the word I want to use. They're playful. They want to slip and slide around the track, and the more you slip and slide, the more time you're going to lose. And now we're starting to see times coming in, because look at that, Mikhail Machida now just 6 tenths of a second off, 201.6. So that is faster than anyone else was able to get in free practice early on as well. And Mikhail just coming out of the pits now for his final qualifying lap just now. Now we're starting to see a race on our hands, because Alex Trehorn up into third position as we see Francesco Valle Gonzalez 6 tenths of a second up over his previous qualifying lap. But Simon, 5 minutes left to go. It's kind of crunch time now, isn't it?
Definitely. I think we're going to be seeing pretty much every driver on track, as most of them are, except for one currently. And yeah, they're going to be trying to find that little bit of clear air, trying to find so they have the space to set a clean lap and set a fast one. But yeah, 4 minutes to go. They're only going to get maybe 2 more runs if they're on the track at the moment. So it's not really going to... my apologies. It's not going to take long for us to find out who, if anyone, can challenge Andrew Quartley.
Well, I think the answer is yes. There is going to be somebody that's going to challenge Andrew Quartley, and quite significantly. And that man is Andrew Quartley. 1/10 of a second up in Sector 1 on his first lap back out of the pits. This is ridiculous. Is he looking to extend the gap that he's got in qualifying just now? 4 minutes left to go. If he does, that's going to be the nail in the coffin. You can sign it, you can seal it, you can deliver it. Qualifying is going to be done and dusted. He goes 1/10 slower in the middle sector. It all comes down to this third sector here. Nobody able to come close right now to his first sector right now. 44.576 is what it is all about for Andrew Quartley. The best one so far has been a 44.8 or a 44.9. But it's out the final corner then, out of turn 14. The car roars into life, up the hill. The Tatus F3020 comes across the line. It's an improvement. Wow, what a final sector. 2 minutes, 0.877. He's gotten into the 2 minute flats. Wow, that is a monster third sector.
Definitely, you know, when we saw that he was a 10th down in his middle sector, there was a part of me that was like, oh, he might have to do another run if he wants to get under the 2-minute 1 mark. But no, never mind. Ignore me completely, because he did it, like you're saying, an incredible final sector. And we cut to Mikael Machera, who's currently half a second down on this lap, so he's not going, unless he manages to pull magic out of these last 2 sectors, he's not really going to improve, so he's going to have to bank it all on his final run.
Yeah, it's another 10th lost in that one, so that one is out of the way there. Wow, and Andrew Quartley goes purple again in Sector 1, 44.5. What is going on with this driver right now? That is sensational stuff. This is huge. Talk about absolute dominance, Simon. He is on a roll right now.
Someone check the fuel in this car. This is incredible.
It's been replaced by either 102 or the thing's powered by an Exocet missile. It is absolutely on rails right now. Andrew Quartley has this car dialed in. The way he's driving it, no dramas whatsoever. You see it's smooth, it's precise, and he's got 2/10 of a second up in Sector 2 as I nearly choked to death halfway through that lap there. This is outrageous. He is on par to go. I wonder, can he... I'm not going to absolutely jinx this, but no word of a lie, I think we could be on for a 159 here. That is ridiculous pace that Andrew Quartley has right now. He's out the final corner. The car has incredible pace. The momentum has been building. This is a huge lap coming in for Andrew Quartley. It's not going to be a 159, but it is a 2 minute 0.678. How about that? How about nearly a second to your nearest driver on the track? Good night. That qualifying is done.
That lap was sensational. Now he goes slower. This is Mikael Machera once again not really improving in his sector. 6 tenths down. He's not going to improve much. Currently 9 tenths down on Quartley. How, as a driver, knowing that you have a second to the car who's about to qualify in pole position, how do you enter a race with knowing that?
It's a mixed bag, to be honest, because obviously so from my real life experience, right, I'm at the back of the grid, so I'm like, it's a 30 car grid. I'm usually P22 to P25, and instead of normally you would think that's it's disheartening, you know, I'm going so slow and all that sort of stuff. I see it as inspiring because I know that I've got like a second and a half to 2 seconds a lap. I can get out of the car. They're in the same cars as me, just like in here. It's not like it's a GT3 and there's balance of performance you've got to talk about. They are in the same cars. Yes, you can do setup changes. Yes, you can do this and that and that. They count for tenths. They don't count for a second. That is pure skill from Andrew Quartley, and that then forces the other drivers to have to level up or think about where he's making all of that time. But with the qualifying done, dusted and in the bag, Andrew Quartley unsurprisingly takes pole position with a 2 minute 0.678 second lap. Mikael Machera is still on a lap just now, but it's not looking likely. We will check and make sure that doesn't change. But Simon, if I'm Andrew right now, I'm feeling very, very comfortable indeed. I do say that Mikael Machera has just got a personal best. It's still 0.3 of a second off of Andrew Quartley. So I think that Mikhail is going to make a huge potential improvement here, but I still don't think it's going to be enough.
No, I mean, obviously any improvement is going to be good for his own self-esteem, if nothing else, but it is really up to Machia, who's currently in the pits, so I don't know if something went wrong with that lap.
Yeah, he's binned it on Sector 2, unfortunately.
Ah, that's a shame. Alex Strayhorn is still on the track, so maybe on a lap, maybe he can challenge Machia really more than Quartley. Vance Lagarde is on a really good lap at the moment, so I don't know if he can maybe jump Kirsten Bayer if he has enough pace in this lap to do that. We'll see as we follow him up the very iconic hill towards on the start finish line as he comes across the line just about now. 8th place, lost a lot of time in the 3rd sector unfortunately, so does not improve enough.
Yeah, and this is Kirsten Bayer in the 7th place machine at the moment. We've still got Vance Lagarde has just went across to complete his lap, so I think this is going to be our final car across the line just now. Not really going to be any improvements, I don't think, for Kirsten. In fact, straight into the pit lane. Qualifying done and dusted then. Wow, what on earth do we say about that, Simon? That was a ridiculous lap from Andrew there.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Wow is the only word we can say. I mean, I think it was 9.6 tenths faster. How? And how? You know, how do any of the drivers compare or compete to that? It's stunning.
The easy explanation as to how he did that is Sector 1. It all starts there. Everything else was just momentum based off of the time that he'd gained through that. But consistently, he was about 3-4 tenths of a second faster than the rest of the field in that first sector alone. Once you've got that by the grasp, once you've got that by the scruff of the neck, then, I think it's all done and dusted. But Andrew Quartley on pole then from Mikhail Mertseya. Mikhail, I don't think this is going to be as one-sided as perhaps qualifying would let us believe, because we all know it's great being fast in qualifying, but that doesn't always necessarily go over into a race performance, does it?
No, it doesn't. And especially Road America, it's a track that's incredible for racing, but it also means that there are a lot of defending opportunities. So if into turn 1 or turn 3 Kirsten Bayer can get ahead of Quartley, we could potentially see an incredible defensive drive from Machia.
It could very well happen. Lots of stories to talk about further down the order as well. Alex Strayhorn, Francisco Valle Gonzalez down in 4th position, Christian Sharp in 5th alongside Anton Valle Gonzalez in 6th position. We'll go through the full lineup in just a couple of minutes when we head back to the grid. Don't go anywhere, we're going to take a very short commercial break.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Well, a very warm welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to World Pro Racing here tonight, where we have the F3s in a casual race tonight here at Road America. David Christie and Simon Zammit here with all of the action. And really, Simon, so much to talk about. We're about 25 seconds away from getting the session underway and heading down to the grid where we can give you the lineup. But what a qualifying session there.
Definitely. In case you missed it, Andrew Quartley has taken pole position by just under a second from second place driver Mikael Machea, and I believe it is Alex Strayhorn in third.
Yeah, that's right. And again, it brings that question that you asked a couple of minutes ago. Just, you know, if you're Mikael or any of the other drivers behind, you know, what do you do? What can you possibly do? Well, the answer is, remember that it takes a couple of laps for these drivers to get the tyres warmed up. It takes them, you know, to get their brakes warmed up, to get themselves up to speed as well. And heaven forbid, if something happens to turn one, it's all, you know, the run down to that right-hander at turn one is very, very unpredictable. So I wouldn't write it off, but I think if Andrew can keep his nose clean for the first 6-7 corners, and if he can get a tiny bit of a break, he is gone. If he is gone, then barring a mistake from him, it's done and dusted. But every single other place behind him is up for grabs. And Simon, I'm interested to know what you think of the race ahead.
I think I have to agree with you. You know, if Andrew Quartley is left to his own devices, I don't think we'll be seeing much of him in the race other than when he crosses the finish line. So it really is up to Mikael Machea and Alex Strayhorn, mostly as the cars starting directly behind him, to get in front of him as soon as he can and keep him there, essentially. As we cut to the grid, where we're going to be getting a formation lap, followed by a standing start. I always love standing starts. They're just so dramatic. What about you, David?
Yeah, the great thing is that I'm not very used to commentating on standing starts. So most of my esports experience has been on rolling starts. Of course, standing starts in real life are much more normal to me. But we'll take you through the grid just now. Then, as you see them on the start line just now, Andrew Quartley gets the cars underway. Then, second place is going to be Mikael Machea in that second place car. Row 2 is going to be Alex Strayhorn in third and Francisco Val Gonzalez in fourth position. Row 3 in fifth position is going to be Christian Sharp and Anton Val Gonzalez. And then in seventh place is Kirsten Ebier and Vance Lagarde, answering that question about who is going to take the position between father and son. That's row 4. Row 5 in ninth position is Trevor Sharp, and in P10 is Stephen Johnson. And then at the back of the grid on 11th place and in row 6, Casey Lagarde. Got scores to settle. Dad Vance is 3 places up ahead of him, and you can better believe that he is going to be gunning for him. Formation lap though underway just now, and really looking forward to getting this thing going. Although the pace that Andrew is going at the moment, have we already? Oh no, it is still a formation lap. But just the way that he started wiggling there, and the fact that he was off like a rocket did kind of make me a little bit nervous, Simon. But less nervous now.
It is a bit of a strange tactic to go too fast in the formation lap, because it might mean he's sitting on the grid longer, so his tire's going to cool down. I think we might see him have a hard break now around here, just to let all the other drivers catch up. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think he doesn't want the drivers behind him to forget that he was a second faster than them in qualifying. The mind games are well and truly afoot.
So from experience, actually, what he's doing is a very good strategy. The reason being is that for that first half of the lap, you're absolutely what we call caning the car. When you're really hammering it to within an inch of its life, you're getting as much heat as you can, way more than you would actually think you get from weaving it left to right. You see it on the real life races, and it looks very dramatic, but essentially, when you've got very little heat anyway, it does nothing. What he'll do now, coming up the hill, is he will now back up the cars as late as he possibly can to make sure that he doesn't lose all that much speed on the track here. So he's at the position. Andrew is ready to go. Simon, are you?
Just about. I think nothing can prepare me for what's about to happen when the rest of the cars line up on this grid. It's going to be...
Why do you get the feeling that's going to be in a YouTube compilation coming up very, very soon?
That's famous last words. But we'll see.
So the cars on the grid then, Andrew Quartley, and it looks like the cars all in position. We wait for the start lights to come on here at Road America for our first of 3 races tonight. 10 lap races. The engine notes are ready. The green flag is ready. The gantry lights come on, and it's a poor start for Andrew, but it gets away much better though. And look at that from 4th place. I think that is Francisco Valle Gonzalez up on the outside here, and this is much closer than you would have thought just now, but it is still Andrew Quartley up in the lead of this race into turn 1. Very, very wide. There goes Mikael Mertzea, and all the cars off. Oh, we got huge contact in the back. That was a car being hip checked in, and I think that was Casey Lagarde. In fact, that was Vance Lagarde that was off in the background there. We'll get an ID on that in just a second. That was actually Kirsten Abair that's into the wall. So huge action early on, but this is what we feared. Andrew Quartley, Simon, off into the distance already.
Yes, and if you look behind him, Mikael Mertzea is coming under threat from the car in 3rd. I believe, as you said, it was Valle Gonzalez, one of the two, I believe. Nope.
It's Trehorn. It's Alex Trehorn.
Is he?
That's
So he
in
must have
3rd
got
place there.
Right,
Yeah,
so he must have gotten back
Trehorn's
past.
done a great job.
Definitely, yeah. A great start from the second row. They really managed to challenge the top 2. But Andrew Quartley is just gone. As here we go, it is Alex Trehorn in 3rd place currently. It's just a little bit of time to Mikael Mertzea, but it's not enough to be of concern at the moment as we look behind to Francisco Valle Gonzalez. Again, in a closer battle for P5. As is Christian Shaw battling the car ahead of him. I wonder what he can do, wonder how he's going to improve from 8th place at the moment. Not the best we've seen him racing, but should be interesting to see.
Now, I'm not wanting to jump to conclusions here, Simon, but I'm seeing a lot of shared names here. You've got Francisco Valle Gonzalez and Anton Valle Gonzalez. You've got Vance Lagarde and Casey Lagarde. You've got Christian Sharp and Trevor Sharp. I'm going to put some money on that they all might be related to one another right now. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3 just now. Car recovering back on. I think that was, well, that would have been Kirsten Abair because she was all the way down in last place, or sorry, he was all the way down in last place. Christian Sharp, I think it was, who's now been put right to the back with Trevor Sharp as well. So I wonder if there was contact between the two Sharps there that's taken him all the way to the back of the grid there, Simon.
If there was, that's definitely going to be a dinner table conversation right there. And yeah, an interesting, we were talking about how a lot of shared names, and they're all currently next to each other on the grid.
It's all a little bit awkward, isn't it? Goodness me. Here we go with a replay then. This is the start then, and this is going to be how Kirsten Abair got hip checked into the wall there. Tries to go one way and then into the other. It's late on to the brakes there, and it's on the acceleration out of the corner. Very, very wide there, and just gets absolutely manhandled into the wall. 10 out of 10 for recovery though.
A nice pirouette, and loses some points fitting the wall, but not enough. As there he goes wide into the gravel, he's going to lose a lot of positions for that. Down into 9,000. Another car
we've got a car off as well. We've got, oh my goodness me, it's all happening right now. Right, so we've got a penalty for Vance Lagarde, presuming that'll be for the, that may well be who caused the collision with Kirsten Abair there then. We've got a yellow flag there. With car, I'm just trying to see who that was there. I think that was Stephen Johnson that brought out the yellow flag in Sector 1 there. Kirsten Abair keeps on going. I wonder if there's damage to that car. That would explain why it's struggling to go onto the brakes into turn 5 and the likes of the corners. But it's still Andrew Quartley out in front of this first of 3 races tonight, lap number 2. Mikael Mertzea doing enough to stay ahead of Alex Trehorn in 3rd position. But that's all we can really do right now because he's also got Francisco Valle Gonzalez behind in that little pack.
Definitely. It's been quite a messy start to this race, hasn't it? Like, we see Casey Lagarde, simply by keeping his nose clean, has gone from 11th. He's now currently in 7th, very close to his father in 6th. And obviously Vance has that penalty, so it's going to be he's essentially running in 6th place at the moment, and now he is, in fact, he has gotten as advanced as Pitt. So yeah, from 11th to 6th place in 3 laps is very, very well done.
Yeah, it really, really is. Great job there. Just also seeing, though, that the gap come down. Well, no, it's not actually. I saw it come down for a brief half a second there, and it's going straight back up as Stephen Johnson into the pits as well. No doubt there's some damage to the car there. He'll be going in for repairs. Vance Lagarde completes his drive-through penalty, but we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, and I'm just trying to see who that is because the car's making its way down. Oh, and Vance Lagarde is retired from the race, so that's going to be after the drive-through penalty. So Vance Lagarde has retired from this race. That is not what you want to see just 3 laps in.
Definitely not. Very unfortunate for him. There's a penalty for Kirsten Bayer now, and in the background I just saw Mikael Maciej are running off the road. So maybe giving Alex Strayhorn a bit more of a chance than he's had previously. In fact, yes, they're a lot closer now on track. So if Alex Strayhorn can keep his nose down for a lap or so, he could catch Mikael Maciej, and we could see a battle for second.
I think you're absolutely spot on there, Simon, and what that'll do, of course, is that'll consolidate the lead that Andrew Quartley has right now at this early stage, because Mercia needs to be concentrating on pushing that car as fast as he can, but instead he's got the big bad Titus F3020 of Alex Strayhorn right behind him, distracting him, and really at a worst possible time it could not be, but it's still Andrew Quartley from Mikael Maciej, Alex Strayhorn in 3rd position. You've got then Francisco Valle-Gonzalez, Antoine Valle-Gonzalez, Casey Lagarde, Kirsten Abair, Christian Sharp, Trevor Sharp and Stephen Johnson are your top 10 right now. It's a penalty as well for Stephen Johnson, so again this is contact. I wonder if that's to do with the retirement of Vance Lagarde. We'll see in just a second. Just a reminder of our social media channels, though, over at World Pro Racing and R Factor 2 on the old hashtags on Twitter. Kirsten Abair into pit lane then to serve that penalty. And this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th is getting very interesting. Don't look past Anton Valle-Gonzalez, just in the background there, maybe catching this group up and making it a 4-way fight, Simon, for 2nd place. Still watching Mikael Maciej and coming under increasing pressure. The only respite that he's got right now is that Alex Strayhorn is getting caught by Francisco Valle-Gonzalez and taking a little bit of distraction from him right now, because it's one of those tracks where momentum is so key, isn't it, Simon, where if you go for a move and you make a mistake on that move, it leaves you vulnerable to the cars behind.
Definitely, it's such a flowing track, and there are so many different styles of corners. You really have to nail each one on the build up to a move. If you don't, you're going to jump just too far back, and it's going to be really, really difficult. You have to wait a lap or two before you can plan another move properly and try for an overtake.
Yeah, it really is. On board then with Francisco Valle-Gonzalez in the number 55 machine on the back of Alex Strayhorn. It's a cracking view here up through turn number 13 then. The car just jinks to the left hand side. It's then down on the brakes to the final corner. Turn number 14, we've got a yellow flag out in sector 3. Very, very briefly, I'll get an ID on who that was in a second. But the car's making the way up the start-finish straight here just now at Road America as we hit the halfway point of the race. Lap 5 out of 10 here, and I tell you what, Francisco Valle-Gonzalez is closer to Strayhorn than Strayhorn is to Mercia right now. So into turn 1, this is exactly what Mercia wants to keep that 2nd place, is to have Strayhorn having his attention taken away from Gonzalez there. So yeah, this is brilliant stuff here. And another penalty for Trevor Sharp there. So it's safe to say it's been an eventful race so far.
Definitely, and we've got word that Stephen Johnson has gotten a drive-through penalty for contact with one of the shops. I'm afraid I don't know which one. But so yeah, unfortunate for obviously the shop who was taken out, maybe slowed down from his race, and also for Johnson making that mistake. We have these we have the FAA accredited stewards here doing a fantastic job at keeping these races as clean and as fair as possible.
Yeah, we certainly do. A yellow flag in Sector 2 then, and that is not any of these drivers in second, third or fourth position. I think that might have actually been Vali Gonzalez there. In fact, there goes Johnson cutting across the grass there. Stephen Johnson already going a lap down, so possibly just getting straight out the way of that leading pack. If that is the case, then very well done, although I think Stephen Johnson has hit the wall and is struggling with some damage, because I saw again in the background there off into the grass here. But with just 4 laps and change left to go in this first race of the evening here for World Pro Racing, this is now starting to look very, very tasty indeed, because Mikael Mertzeja all over the back of Alex Trehorn trying to catch up with that car right now, and doing a very, very good job. Although look at that, Vali Gonzalez gets the run out of that last corner, out of turn 14, and it's the run down to turn 1 then. He's in the toe. Can he make a move on Trehorn right now? They're going to be side by side. He moves out then. Vali Gonzalez thinks about it, jinks back in and tucks in behind Alex Trehorn, and that might have been a sensible move there, Simon.
Yeah, you know, we saw him dive to the inside. He tried to have a look. Unfortunately, just wasn't close enough. Maybe didn't brake late enough to try it. But he clearly has the pace on Trehorn at the moment, and this is exactly what Mikael Mertzeja wants. You know, the more they battle behind him, the less they're battling him. So these 3 are definitely providing the entertainment at the moment, and the cleanest entertainment, which is always what we want to see.
Yep, down at turn 5, we've got another retirement from the race. Stephen Johnson has called it a day in the race. Trevor Sharp into the pit lane again. I wonder if that is going to be our 3rd retirement of the first race just now. It could be just for oh, actually, it'll be for that penalty that he got. Never mind, we'll ignore that one. But back with your leaders. I've got to be honest, I mean, Andrew Quartley, we haven't really seen much of him just now in this first race, Simon, but the pace that he has shown, absolutely ridiculous. 201, 201, 201, 201, 202, 201.6. Fastest lap of the race, last lap there from Andrew Quartley. Purple in Sector 1, normal Sector 2. This is stupid fast speed from Andrew Quartley.
David, can you confirm something for me? In the race, is he lapping as fast as the others were lapping in qualifying? Because if he is, that's an incredible feat.
Most of them, yes. I think Mikael got into the 2 minutes, didn't he? Got into 201, I think 201.2 or something like that, but not quite enough. But here is a cracking little fight on track then. This is Casey Lagarde alongside Christian Sharp, so just on the advantage right now is Casey Lagarde right now, but Christian Sharp keeping him very, very honest. Meanwhile, back at the front, it's now Mertzeja having to fend off Alex Trehorn. Trehorn, oh my goodness me, so close to getting round the outside there, but Mertzeja holds on to that position. Wild, wild stuff right now, and now Trehorn's lost that momentum. They're going to have to watch out, because here comes Francisco Vali Gonzalez, and this is exactly what I was saying about Simon, is the fact that it's momentum basis. Another move up the inside for Francisco Vali Gonzalez. This is a left-hander, so this is never surely going to work. It's a battle of late breakers. They're going to try and do it, and surely that is going to put Francisco a huge disadvantage here. Alex to huge disadvantage to Francisco Vali Gonzalez here. So wild, wild stuff within the space of 3 corners. We've had potentially 2 different challenges.
And it's not over yet, as you see in the background there. Vali Gonzalez is still looking left and right to try find a way on Alex Trehorn.
Oh, what a move! Trehorn just fired it up the inside. And trying to hold off onto to Vali Gonzalez. Vali Gonzalez thought about it. It honestly looked for a split second like he'd done it, but somehow Trehorn comes out with more speed and has the run on Mertzeja. This is surely going to be done and dusted into this right-hander, unless Mertzeja can be late on the brakes. What a move! That is absolutely fantastic from Alex Trehorn to take second place. Incredible stuff, Simon, from seemingly nowhere. under pressure from Francisco Valle Gonzalez, then turns it completely on its head and just goes sailing past Alex Trehorn.
Absolutely. He was on the grass 5 corners ago, maybe, and now he's got into P2. And Valle Gonzalez is probably going to have more of a run on Mercia than Mercia is on Trehorn. It was an absolutely incredible move. He timed it to perfection, waited just for the right opportunity to drive clean around the outside of him on a straight. A really, really well executed move from Alex Trehorn.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. And just noticing, we've got another retirement from the race. Unfortunately, Casey Lagarde joins Father Vince in taking the car into pit lane and pulling it out of race number 1. Hopefully have them two back into race 2. But look at Mercia now, under the pressure from Valle Gonzalez. They're side by side going into the corner. Trehorn on the brakes. Valle Gonzalez forced out into the grass here. Is going to have the inside. Is it going to be a move under braking? Very, very late on the brakes from Alex Trehorn there. Down into turn 5. They boot it up the hill in towards that left-hander at turn 6, but it's as you were on the entry to that corner there. And I tell you what, Alex Trehorn isn't getting to escape the way we thought he might. Here we go with a replay then, and this is going to be presumably Casey Lagarde. And that is a horrible incident. My goodness.
Oh wow,
me.
It's still going. That is
violent. Well, I think that's 15 broken vertebrae and some major spinal surgery required virtually after that one. That's a horrendous accident. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we like sim racing.
Yeah.
Because you can then just go and put that down and go and make yourself a cup of coffee instead and come back.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on that roller coaster. Jesus.
Yeah, that's not quite the £75,000 repair bill damage for a full rebuild on that one. So yeah, great to see. The other thing though, actually, that brings up a very good point that I'll bring up briefly, Simon, is that you can actually injure yourself in sim racing. With the power of the direct drive wheels that we've got out nowadays, it's very easy to hurt yourself quite badly.
Yeah, it's one of those things, obviously. It's less likely than, obviously, if you're driving a real car. But, obviously, injuries can happen. So, like with every facet of life, really, you have to be as careful as you can, while also chasing that dream and that thrill, I suppose.
Yeah, it really is. It's all about risk management, as we see Mikael Marcea doing risk management, but this man has had to do absolutely none of it whatsoever. Andrew Quartley then coming round turn 5 for the 9th time. He'll be on to his penultimate lap next time by, out in the lead by 7.5 seconds. It's been a commanding, controlling lead here as Mikael Marcea confidently cuts that car nose off of Francisco Valle Gonzalez off in 4th position. They're still in 3rd there. Alex Trehorn though, that amazing move round the outside of Marcea got him that 2nd place. Fortune favours the brave, and that's exactly what we saw earlier on, as Valle Gonzalez is going to have to try and regroup as the cars make their way through turn 6 and turn 7. 2 laps to go in this race, Simon. It's been a fairly lonely race for Andrew, hasn't it?
Definitely. We've mentioned at the start of the race, if he made it through turn 1 and potentially turn 3 in the lead, he realistically might not have been challenged with the pace he showed in qualifying, and that's exactly what happened. Got a clean start and just drove away. However, something we have to note is that coming into the 2nd race, he's going to have a very different challenge, because now it's going to be Alex Trehorn, assuming that Alex Trehorn keeps the 2nd place throughout the end of the race. It'll be him starting alongside him on the front row rather than Mikael Marcea. So how is that going to change? Is Alex Trehorn more aggressive or more conservative than Mikael Marcea? And how can Quartley respond to that? So even though this race has been an absolute dominant drive from Quartley, it doesn't mean that we're going to see this in every race we have this evening. Because every race with the grid changing is going to pose a completely separate challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly lots on the card left tonight. Another 2 races, so don't go anywhere. We'll be having a little couple of minutes break in between the races to catch our breath and to let you get a cup of tea at home. If you fancy joining us here at World Pro Racing, head over to worldproracing.com. We run many events throughout the year, from weekly casual races, special events and championships, not just on the PC but over on the consoles as well. But we're on the final lap then of tonight's first casual race here in R Factor 2. It's the Tassis F3s at Roads America, and it's all been about this man here, Andrew Quartley, making his way through the final couple of corners just now. And it's been an exemplary race for him. Currently making his way through turn 8 and then round the carousel for the final time. Nobody anywhere near him. It's been a cracking job at the front, and he's shown exactly how it should be done. Down through turn 11 at the kink. And again, he's just, I mean, every single lap has just been so fast there. It's difficult when you're, on the pace to keep that concentration. So round through the final couple of corners. Rounds into turn number 14 for this man, Andrew Quartley, coming up the hill here at Road America for race 1 of 3, and it's a win in just a couple of seconds time. He weaves from left to right, and you can understand the celebrations. It's a great win for Andrew Quartley, 7 seconds ahead of Alex Strayhorn with that bold, ballsy, graphic move round the outside of Mikael Mertzea there, who has to settle for third place. Francisco Valle Gonzalez, who was competing with those two up in front, has to settle for fourth place. And then you have got Anton Valle Gonzalez in fifth, Christian Sharp in sixth, Kirsten Ebier in seventh place, Trevor Sharp in P8. And then our retirements from the race, we've got Casey Lagarde, Stephen Johnson and Vance Lagarde. So there we go. That is done and dusted for our first race of the evening. And the cars coming round to celebrate that one in style. As you can obviously understand, we've got another 2 races coming up very shortly this evening for you. So as we said, don't go anywhere. As always, if you do like what you see, please hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, or like the page on Facebook as well, and share it with all of your friends and get them involved. Why not get them to a little grudge match and get them involved as well? So as we said, we'll have a couple of minutes before our race number 2. We will then they'll be having a little warm-up session. And just wondering, obviously, Simon, I'm not sure if you're back with us just now. You maybe often enjoyed a little bit of a break yourself, but it's been a fantastic first race, and I think it really sets itself up well for the remaining races this evening.
Definitely. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a very different grid for the second race, so that's going to be a completely different challenge for all these races. Now we have both Valle Gonzalez is very close up the front of the grid, so maybe they can challenge Mertzea and Strayhorn. Meanwhile, Quartley really only has to look behind him. He did it once for this race, and like you said, managed to get a 7-second gap in 10 laps, which is baffling. But he has to do. Can he do it again on Alex Strayhorn this time? He's obviously going to want to hope so. For us as an audience, we kind of hope he doesn't, so we get a close race for the lead. But ultimately, he's driving phenomenally, so it'll be just as entertaining regardless.
Yeah, for sure. So the car's making their way into to pit lane then. And as we wind down from race number 1, we look forward to race number 2 in just a couple of minutes' time. Andrew Quartley making his way through to the winners' enclosure. And we get to pick out the bones of that one. So what we'll do is we're going to take a break and show some commercial ads for a couple of minutes. We'll be right back.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to World Pro Racing for our casual race night here tonight at Road America in the F3s. A fantastic first race that we had there, unsurprisingly won by Andrew Quartley in dominant fashion, but so many other stories unfolding. That move around the outside by Alex Strayhorn is an absolutely iconic sim racing move that we saw there, Simon. David Christie here, along with Simon Zamet, bringing you live coverage of tonight's events. I don't know about you, Simon. I needed to go and get a coffee after that one.
Yeah, coffee or something stronger. That was absolutely enthralling from start to finish. You know, maybe one of the more messy races we've had, unfortunately. A few contacts, a few penalties given out. But the battle for P2 among the top 3 drivers was completely incredible. Just so much fun to watch. Especially the last maybe 4 or 5 laps. They were just on each other, at each other's throats every single corner. It was incredible.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. And it really sets itself up for our next race, which is going to be underway very, very shortly. As you said, those mixed grids really adding to the spice, because obviously we've seen what Andrew can do when he's at the front of the field. But it'll be very interesting to see through some of the later races today whether or not he's going to be able to make his way through that field just as quickly.
Definitely, you know, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, obviously Strayhorn starting alongside him this time. If Strayhorn's a bit more aggressive off the start than Mikhail Mitchell was in the first race, we could see maybe Andrew Quartley having to attack rather than just essentially drive. I was going to say defend, but he didn't really do that either. He just drove away.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And the problem with that as well is that, you know, Andrew seems to have that pace on tap. So we were saying before the first race that Andrew may have to, you know, work at the car a couple of laps, but really I guess the writing was on the wall from qualifying, wasn't it? Where his first lap out and he already annihilated it. I think his first qualifying lap was faster than 9 or 10 of the other cars fully through qualifying. It was just relentless pace.
That is terrifying.
It is, it absolutely is. And going into the second race, it'd be very difficult to look past Andrew getting a second win here.
Definitely. And obviously, you know, it is racing at the end of the day. We can never put money on it. But it's a safer bet than, for example, betting on someone else to win, you know, or maybe all 11 cars crashing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Because going into this race, every other driver is going to want to do something different to try and win. So if they have the pace or really the opportunity to challenge him, they're going to take it. Now that they know how much pace he has and they know how quickly he can build a gap on them. So we might see a few more desperate moves from some of the front runners than we had seen where, like I said, in the 3-car battle for second in the previous race, they were all very tempered, very well respectful. Maybe they might be a bit more desperate if they're battling Quartley, knowing how fast he is and knowing how well he's completely got to grips with the F3 car.
Well, saying you can't put money on it, I'm going to disagree with you. I've got the old wallet out here. And as a Scotsman, you should know what a big deal that is. But I think this one is looking very, very good for Andrew Quartley as they line up for their formation lap this time round. Andrew Quartley on pole position along with Alex Strayhorn in second position. Third position is Mikel Marcea with Francisco Valle Gonzalez in fourth position, Anton Valle Gonzalez in fifth along with Christian Sharp in sixth, Kirsten Hebert in seventh place along with Trevor Sharp in eighth, Casey Lagarde in ninth, Vance Lagarde in 10th position, Stephen Johnson in 11th at the back of the grid. So a mixed grid, Casey and Vance back together at the back of the grid there, Simon, and it's going to be a very, very mixed affair. I'm very interested to see what Alex Strayhorn can do now that he's been released in that second place.
Definitely. You know, I think there are many people to watch this race. Alex Strayhorn, definitely one of them. He has arguably the best opportunity on the first lap to get into the lead and control where this race goes. However, in the last race, we saw that Casey started 11th and was, I think, 6th, 2 or 3 laps in. Really well done. Unfortunately, both him and his father had to DNF. So that violent crash from Casey, unfortunately. But if he can do that again, if he can get himself into 6th and keep his nose clean this time round, well, I don't know if the crash was his fault or not, but what I mean is, like, if if he's able to not crash, I think he could really, really be one to watch for some entertaining battles.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. If you don't crash, you might be in with a chance. That's I'm going to have that embroidered in tapestry and put on the wall as a quote there. But
this is what you get.
It's a sage thought, though, Simon, because obviously avoiding incidents is one of the biggest parts of sim racing, and more importantly, avoiding other people's accidents.
Definitely, and it's not just being involved in accidents yourself. If you're a car speeds ahead of you and you have to slow down a lot, that's going to really affect your race, especially if other cars don't. You could lose positions. So yeah, while on the surface it was a very funny point, a very funny and very simplistic point, I stand by it. So there you go.
Oh, dearie me. So the cars making their way rounds on their formation lap then for the second race of the evening here at World Pro Racing. It is, of course, the F3s at Road America. David Christie and Simon Zammit here with you for the rest of the races tonight. Andrew Quartley and Alex Trahorn leading the cars off into this first lap as they line up 2 by 2 around this 14-corner circuit, 4.048 miles. It is affectionately known as America's National Park of Speed. So much so, they've got it on a big sign just outside turn number 5. It's going to be the run down to turn 1 that's going to make all the difference in this second race. And it's Andrew Quartley on the inside. Track temperature 29 degrees. Ambient temperature drops slightly at 17 degrees. We've got a great view of the starter gantry here. The light's about to come on. We see a little creep there from Alex Trahorn. It's a start from Andrew Quartley at the front there. And just having a look here then. So Alex Trahorn gets the jump and into the lead already. That is a shocker of a start for Andrew Quartley, and that is going to send him right into the wolf pack right now.
Definitely, Quartley also may potentially be under attack from third place. Doesn't look like at the moment, but Mikhail Machita down to 5th as Christian Sharp makes an incredible start to get past both Valo Gonzalez and Machita into 4th place. God knows where he came from, but he's there now. He's in 4th. Well done to him.
Yeah, cracking move. We see weaving and bobbing from further along as Trahorn goes very, very defensive. This is a run down the hill to turn number 5 for the first time. Takes the inside line, makes Andrew work all the way to the outside, but Andrew gets around the outside. That is inspired move there from Andrew Quartley and his good night Vienna. After turn 5, he kept it in, turned the car round through the outside, and that is an amazing move. And unfortunately, you get the feeling that it's now Quartley's to lose here.
Definitely, there's a quote from one of the F1 commentators about Max Verstappen that he just finds grip wherever he goes. And I'm going to level that to Quartley as well. Where he managed to go round the outside, where we saw earlier that cars just really couldn't do that. But he managed it. He kept his car there. He kept the speed up, and then just drove away on the corner exit. It was a fantastic move. And I feel like I have to mention the other drivers in the field, because Christian Sharp is now in 4th place, which is an incredible start for him. Must have got past at least 2 or 3 drivers. Cassie Lagarde, from, again, right at the back after his DNF, is into 7th again, so I don't know how he's managing these incredible starts. And now Kirsten Abeya also into 5th. He just got past Valo Gonzalez. It's incredible starts from some of these drivers.
Yeah, really is. Andrew Quartley then comes across the line then to start lap number 2, a second ahead of Alex Trahorn there. So you see the gap that's already opened up. Meanwhile, this battle between Christian Sharp and Mikhail Marcea for 3rd and 4th position. Mikhail trying to dip into the toe, isn't quite close enough to make a move into turn number 1. Has to think better of it. Meanwhile, as you said, Kirsten Abeya all the way up into 5th position. But what has happened to Casey Lagarde? That is a cracking recovery drive, given that both him and Vance retired from the last race. But the attention has to be on Anton Valo Gonzalez, who has just fallen all the way back, although it's now Francisco Valo Gonzalez now falling all the way back at that left-hand side. So I wonder if there's a little bit of damage on that car just now. Cracking little battle here though. This is for 2nd and this is for 3rd and 4th position. This is Christian Sharp against Mikhail Marcea. So 2 laps in then, Simon, and Quartley, having got that move done on Trehorn, maybe not opening up as much of a gap as I thought he would.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think at the end of first lap to have 8/10 in essentially half a lap is absolutely incredible. As I'm going to interrupt myself for a second, Mikael Maget and Christian Schaff very, very close on track, trying a move around the outside. Is not a very difficult place to do that, but he's going to have a run down this back straight. Can Mikael Maget dive up the inside or the outside? He's going to go for it. Goes for a look, can't quite get alongside enough. Is he going to have the inside line? He does. He breaks later, but not enough.
Cracking battle going on here then for third and fourth position. If you've just joined us, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the World Pro Racing Casual Race, the F3 at Road America. Currently watching Andrew Quartley out in the lead by 1.2 seconds over Alex Trehorn. Christian Sharp in third position over Mikael Mertzea. We've got a new best lap time in the race, 2:01.549. That's comparatively slow for Quartley. Huge run coming up then. It's side by side for Mertzea as we go to a replay then. This is going to be into turn 5. We'll come back to that in just a second because Christian Sharp having to fight tooth and nail to hold on to Mikael Mertzea on that one. Thankfully, it keeps a hold of that position. So Mikael pulls back then. And a huge thank you to our race director for quickly jumping to that one to cut back to the action there. So here we go with a replay then. This was, it looked like it was going to be onto turn 5. And this is from earlier on in the race. This is Steve Johnson, what happened to him. Forced out wide. And let's see, oh, that's collision there up on the inside. And that's a poor move.
Yeah, the move really wasn't on, was he? He maybe missed his breaking point and just had nowhere else to go. Or tried the move and just went in with way too much speed, hit the back of the car ahead, and just spun around. Thankfully, it was him who spun around rather than the other car. But obviously, as we said, any collision is going to lose you time, so unfortunate for both drivers.
Certainly is. So 3 laps in the books then. Trehorn, a second and a half behind Andrew Quartley, and I'd like to say that I am genuinely surprised because Quartley obviously would, by this point last race, Simon, had pulled out a 3.5 second, 4 second gap over Mercedes in second place here. But have a look here at Lagarde, Casey Lagarde. Oh, the huge spin for Casey Lagarde all by himself, gets it going again, and that is just exactly what can happen there. That was at Canada Corner, turn number 12, catches many a driver out, and it's caught out Casey Lagarde.
Yeah, very unfortunate for him. He's just pushing a bit too hard, trying to keep the drivers behind ahead of him.
That wasn't Casey Lagarde then, because Casey.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who that. Oh, it was Kirsten the Bear. That was who it was.
Oh,
it was
wow.
Kirsten the Bear that spun out because Kirsten was up in 5th place and then obviously went off and decided to do a couple of donuts on the off track there.
Unfortunate for Kirsten the Bear, you know, maybe he was very high up the field in 5th place. A lot higher than he was in the first race, so maybe pushing a bit too hard, just trying to keep it, trying to make sure that the cars behind don't catch him up. Unfortunately for him, he's now down in 8th. Not terrible, he can still do a lot from there, but he's 2 seconds behind Vance Lagarde, so he has to have some work to do if he wants to improve from here.
Yeah, for sure. So we're nearing the halfway point of the race, and there up the inside, I think that was Anton Valle Gonzalez there trying to make a move onto to Casey Lagarde. It's a thrilling race that we've got going on here, as we've got Casey Lagarde just up the road, we've got Anton Valle Gonzalez, and then Vance Lagarde. So again, Casey right now as it stands getting the upper hand on Vance, and that is very wide. Just as I've said, that commentator's curse, it strikes at the worst possible time, and Casey Lagarde, obviously listening in, gets a little bit stage fright and decides to put it straight off into turn 5.
And here's Kirsten the Bear, you know, of that mistake, he's going to have a run on Casey. Can he get a move done into this next corner? It's not the best of overtaking moves, but there is a run all the way down this straight if he can make it work.
Just watching him then. Oh, there's a little bit of side by. attitude there from Kirsten Hebert says, not a chance, son, not on my watch. And Hebert later on Vex just goes sailing right by, and Casey Lagarde, left to wonder what could have been, goes all the way down to 8th position, and Kirsten Hebert continues the recovery drive. Meanwhile, Alex Trehorn in second place, still just 2 seconds behind your race leader there. So I've got no doubt that Quartley will win this one, but it's not by anywhere near the same margin this race round.
No, isn't it? He hasn't pulled away as much, but I wonder if that's because now that he knows just how fast he is and just how much pace he has over the other drivers, maybe he just let off the throttle just a little bit to not risk anything. You know, no outbraking maneuvers, no running wide on certain corners. Just keep it on the track, keep it in a straight line, and only push maybe around half the track so he keeps that gap.
So this is Anton Valle Gonzalez then still trying to hold off Vance Lagarde, who is catching up at a rate of knots, you've got to say. But Vance Lagarde then will be delighted that he has gotten the upper hand over Casey Lagarde. And in between the two of them now is the rather ominous figure of Kirsten Hebert on that recovery drive. But again, it just shows how important concentration is at this early stage of the race. Interestingly, actually, I've just noticed that Andrew Quartley, your race leader, that last lap 2:01.803. Alex Trehorn, that last lap 2:01.788. So Trehorn slightly faster than your race leader that last lap round, but not, I think, anything to worry Andrew about.
No, I do think it's as what I said earlier, that maybe Quartley's just not pushing as hard because he knows he has the pace, and if he needs to, he can probably pull another 3-4 tenths a lap. So he might just be taking a more measured drive, making sure he just gets to the end, because he knows that even if Trehorn's faster a lap compared to the next one, he's not going to be consistently faster or fast enough to win. But interestingly, I don't know if I missed this because I'm dumb, but Mercier is now in 3rd ahead of Sharp, so that obviously was happening somewhere. I don't know if we saw it on camera or not, unfortunately. But here the two are still close together, so one small mistake from Mercier and Sharp's going to be right there challenging him again. But he does seem to be clear at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly does. Yellow flag was out there in Sector 2. We'll get an idea on who that was for in just a second. But it's as you were with the 6th lap already started from your race leader, Andrew Quartley, ahead of Alex Trehorn in 2nd place. 3rd place for Mikhail Artsea, Christian Sharp in 4th place, Anton Valle Gonzalez in 5th, Vance Lagarde in 6th, Kirsten Hebert in 7th place, Casey Lagarde in 8th, Trevor Sharp in 9th, and Stephen Johnson rounding out the top 10, with Francisco Valle Gonzalez out of the top 10 right now and dropping back quite considerably as well. Just watching this cracking battle that we've got between 6th, 7th and 8th position as well. In fact, 9th position getting brought into that as well, as we see who was that off in front? Was that Sharp? It was. Christian Sharp and Anton Valle Gonzalez right together on the track now, and that is a bit of a turn up for the books. I think that was Christian Sharp who went wide. It must have been, because Markecha is a way off in front.
Yeah, I'm just going to clarify. Since it is a Maltese surname, it's pronounced Mercier, which is... It's funny watching you struggle, though.
Perfect. Thank you for finding that one out, because I've been fumbling with it for the past hour. So yeah, awesome stuff.
I was waiting for a moment to try and correct you, because it's a Maltese surname, so I'm very used to it. But it's always funny watching foreigners struggle, especially people from like the UK. Very, very funny. But yeah.
Down in 8th as well. This is though Christian Sharp behind Mikhail sorry, how was it? Marchecha.
Nope.
Close enough. Mikhail for the rest of the race. It's just Mikhail in 3rd place, but under increasing pressure now. And look at this now. We've now got about 6 cars within 4 seconds of each other on track, maybe 5 seconds on track.
Yeah, it's going to be... I know they're all closing each other. They're all obviously wanting to make as much ground as they can. But I don't think none of them are really close enough at this moment to be diving out of the slipstream and trying to go for an overtake. They're just at that really awkward stage where they can see and they can smell a move coming in the next few laps, but they're just not close enough to make it yet.
Yeah, just about those 7 laps on the way just now. Interestingly, as we see Mikhail going very, very wide there and allowing Christian Sharp to catch up. A little bit of grass getting kicked up from Christian Sharp on the tail end of that car. So now we've got a proper scrap going on for 3rd place right now, as we've got 3 cars within a second of each other on the track. And at the background there, that was a huge, huge moment for Vance Lagarde. Mikhail makes the mistake that's going to cause side-by-side with Christian Sharp here. Sharp's not going to take this one lying down. Going to try and go around the outside there, makes a mistake, allows Anton Gonzalez seemingly to come back out of nowhere, and this is just absolute craziness.
It's not over. Like, if you look to the battle between 4th and 5th, Christian Sharp now is under massive pressure from Anton Gonzalez. As he goes to the outside looking for a move, can't quite get it done, doesn't have the inside line. But it's, again, as what we were saying earlier, you have to keep this momentum up, because if you try and overtake and you just lose a little bit of time, there's a car behind, less than a second behind you, who's absolutely not going to give you any breathing room.
Yeah, he really isn't. And the thing is that while these 3 are fighting out among themselves, this is now going to allow Vance Lagarde, Kirsten Hebert and Casey Lagarde to catch up to that fight as well. So they're going to very, very quickly be on to the tail of that group. They're just, 2.6 seconds. But look at Kirsten Hebert in the toe of Vance Lagarde right now. This is a run down to turn 1. Not going to get anything from it on that one. Tries to get it out the corner into turn 1. This is going to be on the run down towards turn 2, then turn 3. Fascinating battle, and I've got to be honest, I've got no idea how this is going to go in the final 2 laps here, Simon.
I don't either. You know, we saw last time, so much can change so quickly, you know, whether it be a mistake from a driver, 2 drivers making contact. You know, Machia and Sharp are currently 3rd and 4th, but if enough craziness happens, which we saw from last race, it could very easily be Anton Gonzalez and Vance Lagarde. You know, it's so malleable at this moment in time that anything can happen.
It absolutely could, but we've only got about a lap and a half left to go. The gap between Andrew Quartley and Alex Trehorn now just 4 seconds. They are a country mile ahead of everybody else on track. This gap from 3rd place all the way down to 8th place is just, and I say just, is, no, we'll say 7th place. 3rd to 7th place is just 5 seconds. But Casey Lagarde, having been dropped off of the end of that train there, no doubt having stuck some wheels in the grass and catching or being caught by Trevor Sharp down in 9th position just now. But your race leader about to come and start lap number 9 does so just time round. Right, Mikhail Murtia with Christian Sharp behind. I mean, the 3 of these have been inseparable through the race, but even more so now, Vance Lagarde and Kirsten Hebert. It really is just way too close to call right now.
Definitely, and you know, in that one shot, we see all 5 drivers on the same piece of tarmac, with pretty much no gaps in between them, as a little bit of a slide and a running wide moment for, I believe that was Anton Gonzalez. So it might lose a little bit of time to Christian Sharp, but not enough to put him out of it entirely. But as we see, from these 3rd, 4th and 5th at least for now, the gaps are just widening a little. Maybe in this last lap won't be as crazy as we've seen it. But, as I said, we've mentioned it before, we'll mention it again. One small mistake, you lose momentum around one corner, and you've lost 2-3 tenths, and that's enough to give the car behind a little bit more encouragement, a little bit more motivation to push for those extra tenths, and suddenly the gap's gone.
Yeah, it really is. I'm just watching the lap times coming in just now and seeing Andrew Quartley 201.860 that last lap round. Amazing stuff. Casey Lagarde retires from the second race in a row. The bad luck continues for the number 19 machine of Casey Lagarde. So they are out of the race. One of the two number 19 machines in the race this evening. Meanwhile, Dad Vance still having to fight off Kirsten Hebert just behind there, but here comes Andrew Quartley to start the final lap of the race, and again being held much more to account by Alex Trehorn in this second race, and Alex will be determined to make this stick in the second race, in the third race. If he can get ahead, knowing that Andrew bottled it at the start of the race, I think
definitely. But I want to talk about that for a second, because it's no debate that Andrew Quartley's start was probably the worst in the field. And now to be leading by near on 5 seconds, 4.7 seconds, that is an incredible performance. Once again, he clearly just has something in that car, whether it be Monster Energy as fuel or something. He's just on it. He knows exactly where to place his car to get speed that the other drivers just can't match. And he's on the final lap of the race. He's got a 4.6 second gap. He can go as slow as he wants, essentially, and he's going to cruise home to a victory. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I'm afraid to say, Simon, it's like father like son. Vance Lagarde retires from race number 2 as well. It's 2 for 2 in terms of the father and son combo retiring from the race here at Road America. Here is hoping, fingers crossed, that they can have much better luck in the final race of the evening coming up in about 5-10 minutes time. But Andrew Quartley for JHR Developments then coming through the final couple of corners. This is through turn number 13, that smooth left-hander, then onto the brakes at turn number 14 to come out the final corner and then come through the up the straight. In fact, no, it's not, because I was completely at the wrong part of the circuit. That was actually away down at 11 that he was. So this is now through turn 13 just now. Now he's going to be into turn 14, and now he's going to be starting up the start-finish straight to win the race. We got there eventually, Simon, but Andrew Quartley again taking the victory.
It's incredible. And, 5 seconds this time rather than the 7 he got in the previous race, but still, for saying he halfway off the start into turn 1 was in second and under pressure from the 3rd and 4th place cars, he just drove spectacularly. His overtake on Alex Trehorn, probably one of the best we've seen today, and I would argue for the best we've seen in a while. Just so much confidence in his car, so much grip to power it around the outside on a corner that so many other drivers couldn't have done. He's just been so much fun to watch.
He really has. So there you go. Confirmation of your results then. Andrew Quartley takes the win from Alex Trehorn. Held much closer to account then. The gap was about 5 seconds between the two of them. Mikael Martea in 3rd place. Christian Sharp in 4th. Anton Valle Gonzalez in 5th place. Kirsten Hebert in 6th. Trevor Sharp in 7th position. Stephen Johnson in 8th. Francisco Valle Gonzalez in 9th place. And it's another set of retirements for Vance Lagarde and Casey Lagarde. So the drivers... Sorry, on you go. So what I think we should do now, Simon, is we will head to another commercial break. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful night here of racing at World Pro Racing. We're having our casual night, the F3s at Road America. David Christie and Simon Zammit taking you through all of the action tonight. It's been a dominant race, really. A lights to flag finish almost for Andrew Quarterly. And before the break, as he took the checkered flag, Simon, we were sitting here thinking to ourselves, well, it's going to be 3 out of 3 really for Andrew. But the big news is he's otherwise engaged, so he's checked out. Andrew Quarterly is not taking part in the third race.
Yeah, it's so wild to me. You know, obviously 2 absolutely dominant performances, and unfortunately, we're not going to get to see him do a third one. But the story now is we have 3 or 4 drivers who absolutely have the pace to be at the front of the field, and they're going to be gunning for it. It's going to be tooth and nail for the entire 10 laps. It's not a very long race, maybe 20, maybe 22, 23 minutes. They're going to be pushing as hard as they can to get that top spot.
Yeah, long enough, I would say, though, long enough. So everything has now been thrown up in the air. Now, for myself, I'm a big fan of the British touring cars. Why is that relevant, I hear you asking at home? Well, they do a mixed grid. They usually mix up the first 12 cars and put them in a random order on the grid. That pretty much is quite similar to what we have right now, because obviously it'll go in the finishing order of the last race, which means that Alex Trehorn is going to head up into pole position. But can he hold on to that? Is there going to be any chaos? Is there going to be any fun and frivolity? We're going to head down trackside very, very shortly as the cars get themselves out onto the grid. But third race coming up, Simon, what do you think we're going to see in this last one?
It's really hard to call now, because the most consistent driver is Ben Vermeulen. We've seen Alex Trehorn got an incredible start in the second race, but equally, Mikael Machia got a really good start in the first race. So they're going to be starting right beside each other, wanting to push as hard as they can on the first lap, because they both know whoever leads crossing the line for the first lap is probably going to have the best chance to hold on to it. Not guaranteed. Again, I've said this a few times, I always repeat it. Nothing is ever guaranteed in racing. But if they do happen to have a race-long battle like we saw them have in the first race, it could be absolutely phenomenal.
Well, we're going to be finding out very, very shortly. Here's the lineup then for our final race of the evening. The F3s here at Road America. Alex Trehorn on pole position with Mikael Machia in second position. Third place is Christian Sharp with Kirsten Aber in fourth position. Fifth place is Francisco Valle Gonzalez alongside Anton Valle Gonzalez in row 3. Row 4 is father and son. Seventh place for Vance Lagarde. Eighth place for Casey Lagarde. Can we see a finish from those two tonight? Trevor Sharp in P9. Stephen Johnson in P10. At the back of the grid, I've got to be honest, I was excited for race 1 and race 2, Simon. I am beyond excited for this one, because we just don't know what is going to happen here.
Absolutely, so many unknowns now. And even the things we do know, if you look further back in the field, Francesco Valle Gonzalez has been performing so well. Unfortunately, in his second race, got some damage, I think. Had to drop to the back of the field. But he's starting, I believe 6th or 7th it was. Casey I forgot his name.
Lagarde.
Lagarde, that's the one.
There you go.
I was going to say Gomez, and I'm just like, no, that's incorrect. Anyway, Casey Lagarde has proven time and time again that he's an incredibly good driver, especially in the opening laps, but has gotten unlucky with 2 DNFs, which I feel, looking at his finishing positions, 2 DNFs does not tell the story of that kid's race.
Yeah, it really, really doesn't. So, formation lap underway. The cars try to get as much heat into the tyres as they possibly can. That's why you see Alex Trehorn running very, very fast. Again, if you're used to watching, likes the F1 on TV, you're maybe more familiar with the cars weaving about from side to side. But what actually happens is you get a little bit more heat and a little bit more heat into the tyres and to specifically the brakes if you got full pelt on the opening lap for at least 58% of the lap. But out turn 14 then, the cars making their way up the start-finish straight onto the starting grid. And again, this is a casual race, but they are all treating it very, very seriously indeed. If you see this and you like what you see, head over to worldproracing.com and get yourself involved in the community. Get yourself out on the grid, the many casual races we do here, championships and the special events as well. Keep your eyes on worldproracing.com as well for news of a brand new championship that we're launching very soon and a new special event as well, all on R Factor 2. With the cars on the grid then, Stephen Johnson rolls into the last pit box at the back of the grid. We're on board with Christian Sharp then in P3, getting ready for the start of the final race of the evening. What a night we've had. What a final race. We are getting ready. The lights come on, the starting gantry. And we're away. It's a great start for Mikael Martea in second place. It's an absolute drag race down. But look at the start from Kirsten Abair up into third place already. Looking over to try and take second place. But it's not going to happen because Mikael Martea isn't going to let it happen at all. Alex Trehorn into the lead then, keeps hold of that position. But look at Kirsten Abair side by side with Christian Sharp all the way down in towards turn 3 then, and it's going to be almost a bit of contact there for Kirsten Abair on the brakes then. Francisco, it's Anton Valle Gonzalez that gets sent backwards, keeps a hold of it, and goodness me, that was a huge moment there as Francisco Valle Gonzalez goes further back down through the order.
It was actually
but
Christian
it's
Sharp.
still
It was actually Christian Sharp that got spun around. He made contact with Kirsten Abair's rear end, and then got spun around again when he was hit from the back by one of the Valle Gonzalez's. Francisco,
absolute brilliant spot there, Simon. This is why we pay you the big bucks, my friends.
But yeah, an incredible start from Kirsten Abair. He's into third. It was very close challenging for second. Anton Valle Gonzalez is now into fourth. And Kelsey Lagarde, once again, incredible start. He's into fifth place, ahead of Stephen Johnson, who again from 10th to 6th. Really well done. They're still battling here on track. Stephen Johnson keeping behind Francisco Valle Gonzalez and Vance Lagarde.
Yeah, just looking, Casey Lagarde, as you said, getting a cracking start there up into P5. Vance Lagarde has went backwards though down into P8 just now. Got plenty of chances to make amends from that because they're pretty much side by side on track just now. Stephen Johnson just on the attack there, trying to hold on from that position from Francisco Valle Gonzalez. A little puff of smoke up in the background just now. As we said, it's still Alex Trehorn from Mikael Martea in second place there. Kirsten Abair has a bit of a moment and got a car off in the side there, and that, I am afraid to say, is Vance Lagarde. No, it's not. It's Casey Lagarde that's went off in the final corner.
Another time, he's just made a little bit of a mistake. But coming back to the battle between Stephen Johnson and Francisco Valle Gonzalez, Valle Gonzalez got to have a look up the inside into turn 1. Can't quite make it done. Stephen Johnson putting his car right inside the track. He fronts a bit wide. He's going to give another run. Oh, he's off the track, into the wall. He's got damage. He's lost his rear wing. And that is a terrible mistake from Stephen Johnson. He's absolutely going to be out of this race now with no rear wing. I'm speechless. We got that on live camera and I was not prepared for it. What a very unfortunate move for him. But we come back to Trevor Sharp in 7th now, taking a look at Vance Lagarde. Vance Lagarde struggling in this race. Trevor Sharp's going to have a look up the inside. He's going to get it done. Maybe. Are they going to make contact? Seems... No, they seem to avoid that. But Trevor Sharp, can he get a better run up the hill than Vance? As we work to the next race, he's got the move done. Trevor Sharp into 6th place. Congrats to him.
How Trevor Sharp managed to get that move done with no front nose cone on that car. There's no front wing on it, and yeah, predictably Vance Lagarde just sails right past him. That thing is going to have very poor top line speeds on that machine, but yeah, that was a horrible accident. Stephen Johnson predictably out the race, causes huge damage there to Trevor Sharp and that car as well, and yeah, it's a bit of a disaster recovery as we see further down the order there. That is Casey Lagarde trying to get past Trevor Sharp, gets past, and then Christian Sharp into the wall. That is not what you want to do for Trevor Sharp, and a bad day goes from bad to worse. And yeah, it's well, Simon, just another day out then, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, there's another spin there. I believe that was it Casey Lagarde? No, it was Vance Lagarde, his father. Very unfortunate for him. Spinning, I believe it was in 6th or 7th. He's down to 9th now. Essentially lost behind As this contact between... Is that Casey Lagarde spun around? I think it is. Christian Sharp spins Casey Lagarde round. Unfortunately for both drivers. Another one of these really messy contact-filled races, unfortunately. But both drivers continue going. I'm not sure if they have damage. We'll see if any of them peel into the pits. No, they both continue going. So, unfortunately for them, they've lost a lot of ground. They're going to have to make up for it. As Trevor Sharp is now into the pits, trying to fix that front wing and the damage he got from hitting the wall. Wow.
I'm just looking at the gap at the lead as well. Alex Trehorn 2 seconds ahead of Mikael Mercia there. That gap extending. It's looking very, very good for Alex to get his first win of the evening here. But Kirsten Abair is the story of the day for me. To get up into 3rd position from that start is an amazing, amazing performance just now. And we're only on lap 3 out of 10. And don't think that it's not out the realms that Kirsten can get past. Here we go to a replay then. And this is the huge hit into the wall there for Trevor Sharp coming back onto the track there. Vance Lagarde into the corner here, goes very, very wide, just loses it all by himself at turn number 12, Canada corner. Seen that so many times. Oh, that's a bit sketchy, that rejoin. Not a fan of that at all.
No. It's one of those things where it's like right at the apex of or in the exit of a corner like that. Very difficult to know when a car's coming, but obviously the way to go around that is to take it a bit slower, make sure you keep well off the racing line. Very lucky he didn't make contact with another car there.
Well, that was, I think fortunate is putting it very, very lightly indeed here. Meanwhile, Casey Lagarde under huge pressure from Christian Sharp. We saw these two caught up and tangled up in each other's wheels at the exit of turn 14. They got going again, but it is still Christian Sharp who is hunting, baying for the blood of Casey Lagarde just up in front of him. Meanwhile, that means that the father-son battle has taken a turn on its head as well, as Vance Lagarde is now up into 6th position as we see a new best lap time from Alex Trehorn, 2:02.1. That just shows you the difference in the pace here, because fastest lap of the race last time round, 2:01.4.
Yeah, you know, it's... I feel like the sense of speed is kind of a bit missing now that Andrew has unfortunately left, but Trehorn, to his credit, he's doing so well, taking the reins of the dominant driver, 3 seconds ahead in only 4 laps. He's doing everything he needs to do, and Mikael Mercia just doesn't have the pace to keep up with him. Does have the pace to keep Kirsten Abair behind, so he's going to be happy with that, but obviously he's a racing driver. He's going to want to be P1 for every lap of the race.
Yeah, he certainly is. Great picture-in-picture view here of the battle between 7th and 8th position. Just up in front, Casey Lagarde ahead of Christian Sharp here. It looks like Sharp has got the run, but going very, very defensive. Onto the grass even for Casey Lagarde there. That's a mistake. That's going to hand it on a silver platter to Christian Sharp, but great cut back there from Casey Lagarde there. Can't quite make it stick. Going to try and fire it up the inside. Surely that's never going to work. The two of them very, very scrappy indeed. This is getting very, very fighty and into the wall. And surely that's going to be a retirement for Christian Sharp. And yeah, that really didn't need to happen. You could have called that about 5 corners ago.
I think the move up the inside was definitely on. Like, Casey got a very, very good run out of the previous corner, managed to get the cutback. Maybe should have given Christian Sharp a bit more space. Hard to call without a replay. I'd like to see a replay of that one, which I assure is going to get me many swear words from our race director. But he's a it's fine, he loves me, so it's cool. As we cut back to Anton Valle-Gonzalez racing his, I believe, sibling in Francesco Valle-Gonzalez. Very close in track, these two. Is Francesco going to have a run into turn 1? It does look like he's going to go up the inside. He seems to have a better run. Could just needs to outbrake his family member now. As they come down into turn 1, is he going to brake harder? It does look like he's got the space, and unless he runs wide, which he does a little bit, but doesn't seem like wide enough to lose the position. Francesco Gonzalez.
The cutback is you've got to think cutback's on, but the thing is that look, for Francisco, that move came several corners in advance there. The gap had just been coming down and down and down, and for these two now, they're in a battle for themselves because Vance Lagarde and Casey Lagarde, they're, 20 seconds behind this fight here. So incredible pace from Alex Trehorn as we hit the halfway point of this race. Trehorn out front in command with Mikael Martea in second place there and Kirsten Bear in third position.
It's been enthralling to watch this race. Again, unfortunately, kind of like the first race, it has been marred a bit with incidents, but none of them have ever been malicious, which is something that I'm very happy to see. It's been respectful battlings between people that have just ended in these minor pieces of contact that ended in a spin and then some damage. Unfortunately to see. I think that's why we currently have a 20-second gap between Anton Gonzalez and Vance Lagarde. But having said that, the battles are still raging so furiously, and they're not going to stop, which is always fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Alex Trehorn then out in the lead of the race. And Kirsten Bear, though, still chasing down Martea in that second place fight just now. And in fact, actually, Francisco Valle Gonzalez is actually faster than the two cars in front of him than second and third place. So we could have a huge fight on our hands in the next 2 to 3 laps. So again, we'll keep an eye on what Francisco can do over the line here. But the gap was around about 2 seconds between them. But Valle Gonzalez is on an absolute charge. That last lap from Francisco Valle Gonzalez was a 2:02.6, and the others, Mikhail did a 2:03.3 and Kirsten did a 2:02.8, so 2/10 off the car in front, and the pair of them took about 4/10 off of Mikael Martea. This is going to be an absolute barnstormer of a finish.
And speaking of the lap times, while we're talking about that, drivers in the 2:02 and 2:03s, Alex Trehorn just casually set the 2:01, something set the fastest lap of the race. As you do, easy as you like. Just randomly going almost a second faster than everyone else.
Yeah, it's fine, you know, just decide to drop the bomb right there, 2:01.7. That's very, very good time to do it, though, to consolidate that, because now Mikhail's going to be really starting to panic, because that gap now just 1.1 second to the car behind, and then it's 1.3 to Francisco Gonzalez, and now Anton Gonzalez is just 1.2 behind that as well. So we now have essentially a 4-car battle for second place with just 4 laps to go here, Simon.
Definitely, it's one of those interesting questions of, are the gaps going to close enough in these 4 laps that the cars can actually race each other on track, or is it going to be more a question of consistency and keeping your race clean, not touching the grass, not running wide? Because again, I feel like a broken record, but we mentioned a lot, momentum around the track is so important. So if Mikael Martea makes a mistake, if Kirsten Bear makes a mistake, there's going to be 2 or 3 hungry cars behind them just waiting.
And we will wait with bated breath to see how that happens. Because the thing is that every time that Bear looks to close up, that gap is now extended. So Martea there now 1.6 seconds ahead of the cars in front. So Bear now falling back to Francisco Valle Gonzalez and Anton Valle Gonzalez, and maybe that fight is exactly what Mikael needs in that second position to kind of stretch away from the cars behind.
It could be like now he's seeing these gaps falling, and he's just pushing a bit harder, taking a bit more corner speed throughout some of the faster speed corners, just trying to keep that gap as consistent as he can. Because as you're saying, it is now 1.3-ish seconds. So I feel like Mikael Martea knows he's comfortable. He's not going to catch out straight when he doesn't have the pace, but I do think he knows he can keep Kirsten Bear behind by managing his race pace. So he might just be after that at the moment, just consolidate second place and let the cars behind battle as hard as they can, as Alex Trehorn runs into the grass slightly. Not what he's going to want to do for the rest of this race.
Yeah, still doing 2:01.8 that last lap round, though. I'm just looking at the gap, though. I think that the charge from Kirsten Bear might be cooling down, but I think it could be Francisco Valle Gonzalez that takes up the reins there, and he's certainly got the pace to pull that gap right down between himself. between himself and second place there. So that really could come down very, very quickly indeed. Whether or not it can come down quick enough with the fact that there's 2 laps left to go, Simon, 3 laps left to go, I don't know, but it just feels like it's building up so nicely indeed.
I mean, as we've been watching, Francisco Valle-Gonzalez has caught about a tenth or two. So it is feasible, you know, if he gets within 3-4 tenths, Kirsten Bay is going to be a lot more under pressure, going to be taking those defensive lines, and he's going to slow himself down even more. I call it maybe end of lap 9, beginning of lap 10, these two might have a battle. Hopefully earlier, hopefully they can keep it for the rest of the race. But I think that's when we might see these two close enough on track to actually fight.
Cracking lap last time round for Mikel Merteza there. 2:02.6, which is his personal best and is about 0.5 of a second faster than the cars behind him. So already stretching that gap away now, and it's starting to streak off into the distance there. The gap now about 2 seconds. Maybe about 1.9 come down a little bit with a mistake at turn 1 there, but certainly it's looking very, very comfortable for Alex Trehorn. Out there in front, all by himself by a good 6 seconds. Hasn't really got anyone to worry about. Casey Lagarde retires from the race, as does Stephen Johnson, but it looks like we're on for our first finish of the evening, and I'm not going to jinx this, of Vance Lagarde.
If he DNFs in the next 10 seconds...
No, don't say it, don't say it. It's not my fault.
I disagree. But, here we go, the man of the minute. But he's driven a very quiet race, unfortunately for him. He's kind of has no one for miles ahead of him, no one for miles behind him. So yeah, he's just kind of trundling around, doing the best he can. But 6th place is not a bad showing.
It's really not, given the quality of the drivers we've had out tonight, Simon. It's a really, really good effort to do that. Right, this is starting to get a bit fighty now, isn't it? Kirsten Abair has got Francisco Valle-Gonzalez all over the tail end of that car right now. The gap now just 0.4 of a second, just under 0.5 of a second now between these two. You've got Anton Valle-Gonzalez has just fallen off completely by this, but Kirsten Abair now starting to get caught up as well, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 1. That's cleared itself just now. I've got a feeling that might have been for Trevor Sharp.
Could be. That gap was 90 seconds a few moments ago when I was talking about Vance Lagarde. Is now up to 110, 109 actually I should say. So yeah, maybe made a mistake, maybe spun or something. I don't know. If I remember correctly, he had front wing damage earlier. I assume he pit to fix that, but maybe he picked up something else. So yeah, hard to know. As here comes Christian Sharp in 8th. A very unfortunate race for him. Obviously, he was spun around at the beginning. Probably got caught in. Oh, that's a massive crash for Trevor Sharp. Lost.
Medic!
Medic. Yeah, I believe... David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe cars are meant to have wheels on them. Is that correct?
Oh, it's aerodynamic. I'm not sure how fast it's going to go, but yeah, there you go. Trevor Sharp
it's weight saving.
Out of the race there, and yeah, that's not the best, really, is it? That's not really going to go too far rounds.
Yeah, that's not the racing line you want, is it?
It's not ideal unless Trevor's planning on taking up bobsleighing anytime soon. Just needs to remove the other couple of wheels and he'll be absolutely golden. But you know, joking aside, I mean, we're now on to the penultimate lap of the race, and there you go, confirmation then that Trevor Sharp retires from the race. Christian Sharp 1 lap down. Trehorn though has been magnificent in this race, nothing short of magnificent. It's been an exemplary drive from start to finish for him. Came under a little bit of pressure under the first lap there from Mikel Merteza, but really didn't have too much to worry about after it, and everything else has just kind of opened up for him.
Definitely, and you know, we praised Andrew Cordell for such an incredible performance in the first race to get a 7-second gap. And now, before the final lap even starts, Alex Trehorn has pretty much exactly the same gap to Mikael Mejia. He's done so well at just keeping his car in a straight line and keep consistently setting faster and faster lap times. Where Mikael Mejia had to look behind him, look in his mirrors, as we cut to a replay here of Trevor Sharp, and the accident's gonna take him out the race. Runs a bit wide, and just
Yeah, it's
loses.
on the curbing of that one, Simon. It's times like this that I know we'd get a copyright strike for it, but you just wish that we could have some Enya playing in the background. Just the slow motion as Trevor Sharp accepts his fate
Yeah.
into the tyre wall, into the barriers, and goodbye front wheels.
Ouch.
Actually, hang on, he's still got his front left at this point, so it means that there's worse still to come. But you can see that lonely front left wheel off into the distance. I think what he's tried to do is he's tried to hobble the car back round, and obviously it wasn't having any of it. So
Yeah.
F's in chat all round for Trevor Sharp. Simon, last lap of the race, Alex Trehorn coming through the middle part of the circuit.
Yeah, what can we say other than well done, I suppose? Like, at this point, he's not going to do anything dumb enough to have him lose even a second, let alone the lead of the race. He's just on fire, coming around again, trying to around the middle sector, probably ending the final sector around about now-ish. But yeah, he's been on it from lap 1, turn 1, drove away, has a 8-second gap, even better than Andrew could manage, and he's just done it in style.
Yeah, he really has. Through the final couple of corners, then through the left and right jink, then into the right-hander he comes, and it's going to be a fantastic performance then for Alex Trehorn up the hill for the final time to come under the bridge here at Road America for World Pro Racing, cross the line and win the first of the 3 races for Trehorn tonight. It was all go for Andrew earlier on, but it's going to be second place for Mikael Murtea. In second place, Kirsten Bear is going to come across the line in third place, 9 seconds down the road. It's then going to be Anton Valle Gonzalez, Francisco Valle Gonzalez, Vance Lagarde and Christian Sharp are going to round out your runners and riders for the race then.
At some point,
Wow.
Anton Valle Gonzalez had got past Francisco Valle Gonzalez. So, and by quite some margin, so I wonder if Francisco made a mistake somewhere along the lines, maybe had a half spin. But yeah, he's dropped behind his relative, as Alex Trehorn there, doing a victory donut, just for good measure, as
Why
he
not?
deserves. He's earned it. Again, he has 8 seconds to not get anyone's way.
Can we just point out as well, Vance Lagarde, we got a finish out of him. So Vance,
Yes!
the father has shown the young team how it's done, got that position in, and penultimate place on the grid there with Christian Sharp rounding out the field. But there we go. I mean, 3 cracking races there, Simon.
Definitely. And each of them won incredibly dominantly. It was going to be so much fun to see if Andrew Courtley was in this race. He would have been even more dominant. Like, the gap between him and Murgia have been even bigger. Like, it's just so many unanswered questions, and I'm so happy when I finish a race and want to know more about it. It doesn't make sense. It's just, I'm buzzing. I had so much fun watching these.
Yeah, it's always a good giggle when it's a casual race, because there's nothing that rests on it other than pride, ego, and your own integrity, basically.
Yeah.
That's all you've got to show for it from the races. But as always, we do a number of these casual races every single week, so head over to worldproracing.com and get yourself signed up for our next one as well. Keep an eye out on the website for news of a very special event that we're launching very soon, along with a brand new championship as well. So Alex Trehorn takes the lead and takes the win of race number 3, and yeah, awesome stuff, and really enjoyed that there, Simon.
Yeah, me too. I mean, where do you even start? There were so many battles, so many bits of contact and mistakes from these drivers, so many overtakes. It was just incredible.
Yeah, fantastic stuff then. So there we got 3 different races, 2 different race winners tonight, and that third one definitely had everything that you could possibly want. Just a reminder about some of the events coming up at World Pro Racing then. Next week we have the return of the Dual Series. We head off to Suzuka for a 90-minute dual driver race, and that is going to be on Tuesday the 19th of October. Sign-ups are still open for that one. And then on Friday the 12th of November is the return of the HyperX Open Series. Some huge prizes for that one. That's at Donington Park. And as I said, Friday the 12th of November, get over to World Pro Racing to sign up for that one. We'll get some post-race interviews in just a second, but Simon, I mean, it's difficult to obviously put too much into this because it's just a casual race. But again, it's a huge boost taking part in these events and, you know, having a good result. So the likes of Kirsten Bear having an amazing comeback drive from the back of the grid, getting up to that P3 finish there. That was a fantastic effort.
Definitely, you know, even if it's a casual race, these drivers are all learning. It's racing and driving is a skill that you're constantly developing and constantly improving on. So the more, at the end of the day, even if it is a casual race, it's practice time in a car on a simulator. So regardless, the drivers are going to use it for that. They're going to get as much value from it as they can while they can. And yeah, they're going to treat it as seriously as they would if they were just practicing in their home for the sake of practicing, for the sake of improving. So yeah, you can talk about these massive, incredible performances. Kirsten Bear is one of them. His podium finish, incredibly well deserved. He has made a few mistakes maybe in the earlier races, but started in a good enough position in the third race and drove really cleanly to keep it. And you know, you also have these other stellar performances. I keep bringing him up, but Casey Lagarde had 3 incredible starts. Was constantly 3, 4, 5 positions ahead of where he started by the end of lap 1. And unfortunately, his 3 DNFs do not tell anything even close to the picture of his races and how much pace he had. Franz Lagarde is another one. Francesco Valle-Gonzalez, the same thing. So quick, so pacey. Maybe some mistakes setting him back. It's just been so much fun, and so much fun up and down the field, which is always what we want to see first and foremost.
Obviously, race 3, Simon, we didn't have Andrew Quarterly in that last race there. Is it safe to say that we think he would have stormed off with that one as well had he been in it?
I think I would have to say so. It would be difficult to bet against him, but I think Alex Strayhorn this time around specifically would have given him a much harder run for his money. He did so in the second race, keeping him honest a little bit, but Alex Strayhorn, there was something about him just clicked in that third race. I think he found the operating with the tyres, he managed to manage them much more than his competitors, that he was consistently delivering fastest lap after fastest lap. So maybe Strayhorn could have been more of a thorn in Quarterly's side, but I think it's hard to say that anyone other than Andrew Quarterly would have won today.
And obviously, looking at the first 2 races, we've spoken about Andrew Quarterly. I'm trying to understand what happened for the Lagardes today, because it was a really difficult day out. Fantastic that we got Vance Lagarde finishing the third race there, but I guess it makes it slightly easier to swallow with it being a casual race than being a championship race where you have that run of bad luck. I just wonder, you know, what can you do as a driver when you get those incidents and you seem to always find yourself at the centre of them?
It's difficult, you know, obviously, end of the day we can talk about what they're meant to do and how the best idea is to brush it off and keep going. But they're people, they have emotions, they're going to feel upset and irritated and angry at things. So the best moment to do is to have that moment, take a second to just step back, feel everything, and then it's a question of knowing you can't change the past. So there's another, in this case, you know, 3 races. After the first DNF, there's always another race in 5 minutes. After the second race, another race in 5 minutes. Now they have the opportunity that, you know, we're having another race here on Tuesday, so they can come back for that and try their hand there. There are going to be so many more casual races in the future here, and so many more championship races. It's not the end all be all of their race of their esports journeys, and I think that's the main takeaway. Even if it hurts in the moment, it's going to be fine.
Well, you may have noticed I was a little bit distracted there, trying to see if we've got any of the drivers in to have a chat with. I can see there's quite a few drivers still in their own little channels, so we'll maybe forcefully go down and me and you will act like the Goon Squad, just drag them into the voice channel very, very shortly. But just to close things off on that race tonight then, Simon, I mean, you know, those Formula 3 cars are a very, very difficult car to control. Now, we spoke about that briefly before the actual racing begun, and we really did see that. The number of unforced errors, I think, through the sort of halfway point of the race, where the tyres are starting to get a little bit greasy, they're starting to get a little bit too hot, and, you know, some of the drivers that are trying to overdrive the cars really struggling with that. I don't think there's anyone that particularly stood out in terms of how they were overdriving the car, but the likes of Trevor Sharp's accident in the final race, I think that is a perfect example of what happens when that car is pushed too far.
Definitely, you know, you mentioned it before, I think these cars, Formula 3 cars in general, just suffer from a lot of power in a very light car on very skinny tyres, so in general the grip levels aren't massive. So you might find that around the high-speed corner they're understeering, and then around the slow-speed corner when you go to put the power down they're oversteering. So yeah, it's very easy to make these small mistakes, and you make one mistake too many, you just maybe react slightly later than you should, you can't catch it in time, and you can have an accident like Trevor Sharp's where your front right wheel goes flying into Narnia.
Yeah, and again, you saw that front right wheel going off after the collision with the wall. But when we came to see his car the first time round, the car was like, there was no wheels on the front of it, there was no front wing. So I think what's happened is he's tried to recover the car back to pit lane and then had another accident after that.
Must have done, yeah. I mean, obviously, this should go without saying at Lewis Hamilton, but driving a car on 3 wheels is not easy. So, it's very easy to imagine.
Don't know what you're talking about.
No. Yeah. What's the car? The Peel P50, does that have 3 wheels? Yeah, we've seen the just a crazy little machine. But yeah, obviously driving a car on 3 wheels, not the easiest thing, so I wouldn't put it past him. Just, you know, try and take a corner, maybe misjudging how much under he's going to have on no wheels, no downforce because he doesn't have a front wing, hitting another wall and just lobbing off his other wing. But yeah, even other than him, you know, we saw so many drivers. I believe it was Vance Gonzalez in leading a battle coming around, I believe it was 10-12, putting the power down just a bit too much and spinning on his own accord. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, really, really is. A very good evening, actually. I didn't have much of a chance to check out our viewers on YouTube this evening. Good evening to Trev Rich, to Mad Bads, to Pedro Gomez, and Jorge Afonseca. I apologise if I've destroyed your name. You would have thought that you guys would be used to it after things so far this evening. But yeah, great to see a great turnout for these casual events. As always, and we said earlier on, if you want to get involved in them, head over to worldproracing.com to check that out. Still waiting on a couple of drivers to go and have a little chat with just now. And if we could get anybody to speak to tonight, who would you want Simon to speak to?
Obviously, for the fun of it, I would love to talk to Andrew Quarterly. Just an insight, where on earth that pace came from. Because he's just head and shoulders above everyone else every time he touched that track. Equally, I think someone who, I feel like we kind of gave a bad rep during the races in Mikael Machia for saying someone who I think was on the podium in every race, and we kind of treated him like he was off the pace all the time. It's unfortunately just a case of how it was. He was fast enough to be there, and he drove so well to keep those positions. But it's a case of always the bridesmaid, never the bride with him. So I'd really hope to speak to him. And I hope to speak to him. Who else? Obviously Treyhorn, 3 incredible racers. If we're going for someone further back, Kirsten Abeyer and the Lagarde family could be very, very fun to talk to.
Well, at least one of your wishes, one of your many wishes, Simon, is going to come true tonight, because we do have the man himself. It looked so close, Alex Treyhorn, that it was going to be always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And then we finally got you on the top step of that podium tonight.
Yeah, thank you. It was it might have looked a bit easy that last race with Andrew being gone, but you know, we've been racing for I don't know 2 hours or driving for 2 hours, so it's hard to keep focus right until the last lap. So, but I'm happy with the pace I had.
Obviously, race 1 was very difficult because you got caught up in that midfield traffic, and then race 2 you were almost unleashed, and we saw you actually taking the leads for at least several turns here, and we really thought that Andrew had met his match, but it was some late braking and a slightly wild manoeuvre right the outside of you. How difficult are those cars to control at Road America?
It's quite a bumpy track. They're all right. They're a bit slippy on the power, but yeah, I think Andrew missed the gear on the start, so I managed to get in ahead of him, but he had a good slipstream down into turn 3, and he's always so good on the brakes, and he just went round the outside. It's unbelievable. But real fun racing with him, and I'm quite happy I managed to at least get a bit close to him.
In that second race, just to give you a fair bit of the credit here, Alex, you really did keep him quite honest. Unlike we had seen in that first race, you really kept him close. And you know, we see at the end you were about maybe 4 seconds, 5 seconds off of him, but that gap was very gradually eked out. So what was the difference? Because I mean, obviously, when Quarterly went past you, I can only imagine how gutted you must have felt, because there's an air of inevitability with the pace that he's got. But how do you keep yourself focused?
It's keeping focus. It's quite easy when there's a quick, consistent guy like him just in front of you. You can really focus on what he's doing and trying to keep with him. But once he got past like 3 seconds or so, I started to make more mistakes. Tires were going off a little bit, so. But yeah, he had a bit of advantage in heavy braking and some of the corner exits, I think.
And just on the last race finally then for yourself, obviously it was a great win for you, but you said that it was a little bit easier. I would counter that with the fact that we saw several cars in the midfield making mistakes completely on their own. So I think that you'd said obviously in race 2 you were struggling with your tyres for a bit. So to get what was that, about a 7-second gap over over second place, that was no mean feat whatsoever.
Thank you. Yeah, it was difficult to focus for 3 races with qualifying and practice beforehand. But yeah, the odd mistake here and there. There was one tetchy moment on, I think, lap 7 between turns 1 and 2. I come across someone's front wing, so I knew there had been some kind of accident. But yeah, I actually hit that, but I didn't think I got any damage. And then I saw a car down at turn 3, so it must have been his. But yeah, thanks.
Well, a fantastic, consistent performance from yourself, Alex, tonight. Thanks very much for joining us in the commentary booth, and we'll look forward to seeing you again on the channel soon.
Cheers, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
There we go then. So Alex Trehorn, Simon, and that was a bit of a fascinating insight there, wasn't it, into staying the distance, essentially.
Definitely. We were kind of talking about it a little earlier when you said that you prefer following a car because it's easier to stay focused. So, and it's nice to hear that being echoed by someone who clearly had the pace to win this race. It is a genuine. It's just easier to stay focused because you can learn what they're doing and always try to push to overcome that gap.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there we go. 3 races are done, dusted in the books here at World Pro Racing. And I guess, Simon, all that's left then is for us to make our farewells and head off into the distance. What a night it's been, though.
Definitely, it's been enthralling from start to finish. You know, I'm thinking back to practice when we had. I'm thinking back to practice when we had Quarterly just absolutely dominating, then qualifying, then race 1, and then race 2. It's just so well done. Like, all 3 races were just really, really incredible.
Well, I was away to sign off, but I've got an exciting surprise for you. You're getting a second wish that you asked for earlier, because we've got Mikael Martea in with us in the commentary booth. Mikael, a very warm welcome. That was a bit of an interesting evening for yourself. 2 third places and a very good finish in the last race. And I think poor Mikael is Mikael with us?
Hi, good evening.
There we go, Mikael. We thought we would scared you off there, but Mikael, a cracking performance from you tonight. 2 third places and that great finish in race number 3. You must be very happy with how tonight went, apart from Treyhorn getting the better of you in race 1.
Yeah, it's quite happy with the result. It feels good to be back after I had a small break after winning the national championship. So yeah, happy with the result. I had a couple of mistakes here and there, both in race 2 and in race 3, a couple of off tracks, but overall, yeah, quite happy to achieve podiums in all of the races.
For a driver of your caliber, this might seem a silly question, but for a driver of your caliber, Mikael, is there such a thing as a casual race? Is there a race that you can just sit back and enjoy, or do you find yourself just trying to give it your all in every single one that you do?
I think I take every race quite seriously. I don't race a lot, but the couple of races I race here and there, I think I try to practice all the time and take each one seriously. So yeah, I think although it was a casual race, I did not take it relaxed. So yeah.
And Simon, obviously this was one of your many wishes to have a chat to tonight. Do you have any questions for our special guest?
I do, thank you for asking. Mikael, I wanted to ask, obviously you're coming off the back from winning the Multinational Championship, which massive well done to you. But you say you don't race much. How do you have to keep this form up when you maybe, like I say, don't appear at too many events, or as many events as some other people, but to take 3 podiums and be consistently battling drivers who we know are incredibly fast? How do you manage to keep that up race after race?
Yeah, it's obviously lots of practice. You know, as soon as I saw the event, I signed up. I tried testing the car, gone through a couple of setup changes. So yeah, basically just lots of practice, and you'll get there.
Well, there you go, words of wisdom. Will we be seeing you at more races in the future?
Yeah, of course. As I said earlier, I took a small break after the championship. Now I'm back and eager to participate in much more races, not only rFactor, but looking to get back into iRacing as well as Assetto Corsa. So yeah, looking forward to see what events are going to be available. So and sign up get back to racing very soon.
Awesome, we look forward to having you.
Thank you very much.
So there we go then, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mikael Martea. Cracking performance tonight. 2 third places and a second place tonight. Simon, 3 stunning races. I cannot wait for some more.
Yeah, it's almost wish there was 6. Because, like, imagine what could have happened next time. The car's getting faster, more mistakes, temperature's heating. Temper's heating. Yeah, it was just so much fun. And yeah, just onwards and upwards to the next one, honestly.
Well, you're not going to have to wait too much longer for more action here at World Pro Racing. We'll be back on Wednesday night for the Duo Series as they head to Suzuka. Tuesday night, Tuesday the 19th of October to Suzuka for the 90-minute race. join the channel then. We'll have more live coverage from you. Then a huge thank you to all of the drivers tonight taking part. A huge thank you to the production team behind the scenes as well. And as always, Simon, to yourself for joining me in the virtual commentary booth tonight.
Thank you very
and
much.
as always to the viewers at home for watching us on YouTube as well. Simon, have a wonderful night. All you lovely at home, have a wonderful night as well. And we'll see you back here at World Pro Racing very, very soon.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.